Welcome to Sic'em365 Radio.
Lamb went in motion. Dalton looking end zone. He throws. Touchdown. Wide open is the tight end, Dalton Schultz. The Cowboys take the lead.
Sic'em365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Playing 4 quarters is the first piece. So starting fast, that was something we were fighting early on, and I feel that we've improved in that area. There's still games to go where we can excel there.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Second and goal. Watson nowhere to go. Steps up. He's going to try to keep it inside the 5. Lowers the shoulder, and he takes it in. What a run by Deshaun Watson.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go, this 3 o'clock hour. Opening up the show here today on Sic'em365 Radio. Some breaking news with Baylor men's basketball. Even some news when it comes to Baylor women's basketball that doesn't affect them this year, but in the future because of a player who transferred who's injured. Also, more college basketball games have been canceled, including my alma mater. And college football with some, this game may or may not be played. All of that and much more. It's part of what we do every day. Good afternoon, Sic'em365 Radio. Hope you're having a great day. Craig Smoke to my right, Paul Catalina to my left, and also Jack runs the mothership. He has been on Valium since about 8 o'clock this morning. And Jack, do you have the chance? Would it be too much if you had the microphone, Paul? Can you talk to us on the show?
He's got a microphone.
Jack, we want to introduce everyone. We've talked about you before, but are you okay?
I'm good.
You're fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Seriously, this is a big deal. You're running the whole thing. Tyler Bolden, by the way, allowed to say that, Tyler? He's here. Great to see the young man, the great talent in television. You're ready, right?
Oh, yeah. This all went smooth for the Open, so we're going to keep that going.
You did. Now, everything's great. It's great to have you. Armstrong's having some days off. He has not had any since he started. CJ's gone. He's now a dead man for us, right? It's like he graduated, he's done, right? He's out of here. And then, of course, Drake Toll, part of what we do as well. He'll be in and out along the way. But Baylor has football Saturday night against Kansas State. But Baylor men's basketball right now, their first 3 games of the year have now all been evaporated and canceled. We knew about the Empire Classic, the game with Arizona State, most likely with Villanova, and now this afternoon the game with Seton Hall on November 29th. Because of COVID pandemic reasons, both teams agreed mutually, canceling the game. Men's basketball will explore scheduling options for 2021. They now have lost their first 3 games, of which all of them would have been very important when it comes to the quality and their schedule. They still have Illinois, whether that's played. Gonzaga, those games are only a couple of weeks off, guys. Paul Catalina, this is like, are we ever going to get to their opening game?
I don't know. I mean, let's say a couple of weeks. It's just about really just a week for them. A week and Wednesday, December 2nd. That's a week from tomorrow. So hopefully that Baylor's enough in the clear where they can play those 2 games in Indianapolis. I've been looking forward to the Gonzaga game since this summer, when they said that was going to be in the cards for them to play it, and then finally got it worked out. It's just really unfortunate that this has to happen, but it's not at all shocking.
254-339-1122. Your thoughts, you tell us how you feel. How much frustration do you have right now that Baylor, all the expectations, the year last year got shut down early, expectations, frustrations you have as a Baylor men's basketball fan? 254-339-1122. Craig Smoke.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, we kind of had an idea that this was going to be a wonky year, and here we are, and it just so happens that Baylor's at the, forefront of it right now. It's going to be everybody else at some point or another. I mean, look at the way football's played out. So, I mean, it's exhausting to talk about, over and over again, but it is what it is. So, they'll just have to play what they can play, and they won't be able to play these few games. It's unfortunate, but you know what? I mean, what are they going to do about it? Nothing. So, You just got to keep on moving on. Hopefully nobody else on your team gets sick and you don't have to cancel some future games after the ones that have already been canceled. But, yeah, I mean, it's terrible that, they're not going to be able to get off on the right foot that they thought they were going to be able to. I know they put a lot of hard work into this schedule, and now that schedule's evaporating before their very eyes. So I imagine it's very frustrating, but again, it is what it is. Like there's nothing anybody can do about it. So it's just the hand that they've been dealt.
Their next scheduled game is in Indianapolis, which is supposed to be eventually the bubble. That's December 2nd, as you said, Paul, a week from tomorrow against Illinois. Gonzaga is December 5th, which is in Indianapolis. It would have been a phenomenal start to what was going to be a fantastic non-conference schedule. If they don't get to those two games, it's all. The next thing you have is Nicholls State. Then you open up against Texas, which also means you're missing game time. No matter how good, how many guys you have back, you're missing game time. So our question is, what emotions do you have right now in just a few words with what's happened with Baylor men's basketball? Also, a quick note from women's basketball. Kim Mulkey today met with the media for a very short time. They open up against Central Arkansas tomorrow night. Kamaria McDaniel from Penn State, the transfer, who was having to sit out this year anyway, but could have continued to practice and work out with the team throughout the year, except not play, tore her ACL in a recent practice, and she'll have surgery soon. So that sets her back because she, can't keep on playing and learning who she's with. And also, she's good enough to push the starters as a scout team player, while she had to wait and see when her next opportunity was to play. So she's going to be out for a while as well. Paul?
We got a call on the line. Steven from Virginia. Thanks for your call. You're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, guys. I had two overriding thoughts. The first one is that COVID and 2020 just keeps getting more frustrating, especially for Baylor. The football season, I think, has been kind of derailed by not having spring practice and all of that, but that's not what we're talking about. And then the NCAA tournament last year, which Baylor could have done really well in, gets canceled. And then the first 3 games of this season have been canceled. And that's really frustrating. And the other thing I will say is that I find it really hard because a couple of days ago, Dabo Swinney pretty much came out and said that Florida State was scared of playing them. And I thought how dangerous of rhetoric that was. But then when Arizona State, a school that lives in a super spreader zone, the number 1 party school in America, who, like it or not, if all the football players for Arizona State tested negative for 4 or 5 days in a row and Herm Edwards tested positive, they'd be playing that football game. So, now I feel like a hypocrite because, now I'm like Dabo, God only cares when we win. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, no,
that's the best. That's the best.
Well, you're not allowed to talk. You're too emotionally caught up in this story with Florida State and Clemson. No, actually, they're not. Craig, Stephen, you always allow us to giggle a little bit. But also, in all seriousness, you're right. Frustrating. It's hypocritical in certain ways. And I've had coaches who are up in the area where these tournaments are supposed to start. Some of them are saying, yeah, there's a lot of concern. But there's also this feeling, and this is not a political thing, it is where you live thing. In the South, that doesn't mean we don't have problems. But in the South, it's not like we're scared of our own shadow. We're being smart, and we need to be smarter. It could also blow up on us. But it seems like you are now battling regional type culture when it comes to these decisions on cancellation.
I think the other thing is that, when the conference or somebody has a standard and you don't trust that, you think your school is like, oh, here's the minimum standard and here's our extra step. Well, if you've got somebody that you feel is just doing the minimum, then you don't trust that they're even doing the minimum because, why aren't you taking an extra step? Because we are. So then it's not only regionality, it's
is there a distrust?
Yeah, I think their schools aren't necessarily, and that's just the caginess that this situation has created.
Rick Pitino has said, let's move all this back. I know, Rick Pitino, you can insert all the jokes you want, but Rick Pitino has said, why don't we just wait for March Madness to be May Madness and start this in March? Now, I think that I would rather them go ahead and try to start it, but it does look like this is going to be maybe even a crash and burn. We'll see. Let's see what happens first. But, Craig, what are your thoughts right now as far as Baylor, or even would you see basketball? Do you think it would be any better in March, or is it going to be the same thing? We're 9 months into this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said a few minutes ago, I mean, it's frustrating, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're not, able to sway the opinions of any of these people. That they are going to think the way they want to think, and they're going to have the things in place that they feel are of the utmost necessity, or the barriers or whatever. Like, everybody's going to have their different way of viewing this, as we've seen it play out over these various conferences and the different ways they view everything. So when you're playing all these here's the thing, football, they just play conference games. So this is not as problematic. Basketball's trying to play everybody still. So when you're trying to play the Pac-12 and they've got different rules, and you're trying to play the ACC and they've got different rules, and then you're playing the Big Ten and they've got different rules, this is going to be a giant cluster, you-know-what. And I don't know that it's already been all that well thought out, even though they've had, November? We're almost nearly a year into this thing. We're 8 months into this thing, and I don't know that enough thought was maybe put into the start of the season, just because I don't know what the rush is to start it before Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving is over with. I would have been fine pushing it into the spring, especially when we saw, the way it was abruptly cut short. So to me, I would do everything possible to make this as normal of a season as possible, knowing that it's not going to be normal. And if that means moving it back a couple months, I would have been fine with that. I don't know the exact reasons of why they decided to basically start right on time and play tournaments like, normal teams from all over the country, all different conferences, all different regulations. Like, that just was spelling trouble. And maybe we all just said we'll deal with it when it arrives, or maybe we all just thought that it would just magically be okay. But I think all those issues are what they're running into right now, and I think that's going to continue until they get into conference play. That's going to continue to be an issue.
You know what I thought it was, Craig? I think that as football got a plan going, and it looked like, yeah, they're going to have some cancellations, but we'll deal. And, the cases started to drop a little bit at the end of the summer. They said, okay, let's go ahead. Let's forge ahead with this plan. And they kind of left out there's another wave coming.
Even though
which
we
was
knew
predicted.
that, yeah.
Like, it was predicted. They're like, well, and it's, I think with this, none of, and I'm not saying none of us, I'm just using it as generally.
Let's not just discuss COVID. Let's talk about the sports part of it as well.
Generally, we don't believe it until it happens, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. From those of you responding, we can debate how you're supposed to handle it. Well, we're going to do that. We can do that for the next 3 years. Or how frustrated are you? This is from Scotty B at Scotty_BU_King. I would say flat out disgusted. All I can say is Baylor is fine in terms of health, except Coach Drew. These teams who bailed out on Baylor are avoiding the loss. Now, I want to say this as well. I see some finger pointing. I understand the frustrations. But let's not be hypocritical. Because Baylor fans, you got pretty upset when Houston pointed the finger, or Oklahoma State pointed the finger about those games being canceled or postponed. So we can't just do it. And I sometimes get myself in trouble by playing devil's advocate, or playing, let's look at both through both lenses here. I don't know if Arizona State they were in the tournament. They knew who was going to be in that tournament. They knew they were going to play Baylor. They knew they were going to play Villanova. They knew they were going to play some of those teams. I don't think that's it. I just think that there's such a change. There's so many different ways people look at this and different type of protocols, and it's a cluster, as Craig said, without the other word. It's a dumpster fire. And tomorrow's the first day of the season, right?
For some teams, for some teams it was supposed to be and will be or whatever. But, I didn't even think about what Arizona State fans had to say. I mean, who the blank cares, honestly? I mean, who really cares? Like, here's the thing. Every fan base has its jokers and its trolls, and it's just downright just nasty people. And so if you worry about what every fan base has to say along the way, then you're just going to be miserable, which is probably why Twitter is such a miserable place. But, I mean, it's frustrating, sure, but you just have to do what you can to move on. I mean, that's all you can do. You hope Scott Drew gets fully healthy and cleared, and then you hope nobody else gets
it in between that,
and then you stay healthy and you go play, But until, like I said, until they get into conference play where everybody's on the same level, then you're going to, run into this probably more often than we're anticipating.
Stephen F. Austin was supposed to tip off the season tomorrow, 11 o'clock, against San Francisco in what was going to be Seton Hall. But they then moved into the Empire Classic. Now they left. I don't know if they've left, if they're up in the air or not. They left because someone in the travel party tested positive. The travel party might have been a trainer, might have been a team doctor, might have been someone in administration that was there. There's not a lot of frolicking going on. There's not a lot like boosters and all that. Hey, let's make a trip. I mean, like you'd see before on these things. This is from LaDonna. Worried about how it'll affect end-of-season seeding, wondering if proposal to delay the start of the season, even Pitino's March start date, has some merit. Don't know. Also, B.J. Walters, better now than in March, Smokey.
That's very true. I agree with that. Look, just because Pitino is, a slime ball doesn't mean he didn't have good ideas. I mean, like.
Sure it does. Yeah. If somebody's done something bad, they can't be right about anything ever again. That's how society works, right?
Exasperated. This is from Lance.
That's how I'm exhausted by all this.
I know. And we've seen each other as these things have progressed, even from the shutdown. When we launched this B-52 bomber in the air, this stealth bomber initially into the air, into dark clouds, not knowing who was on the other side, right? But we did it, and we've managed it. We've gotten through it, and thank God, because there have been college football games played. There are some that have been canceled, some that will not be played. There are some conferences that were petrified, and now they're playing, and some of them are still petrified. It's frustrating, but I appreciate the feedback. Here on SicEm365 Radio. Number to call, 254-339-1122. So there's been, even the team like, for example, Seton Hall replaced Baylor to play Arizona State, who had pulled out. Baylor pulls out or was asked to leave or not be there. Then here comes Arizona State. They're now going to play Seton Hall, who was going to open up against Stephen F. Austin. Now Stephen F. Austin's on their way home. Mm-hmm. It's weird how it works. And I hate it for Kyle Keller. I was told this last night, and I'm not one to speculate. This is not speculation. But I was told that one of the concerns about this tournament, the Mohegan Sun is a native land. It's a tribe. That some of their policies and some of what they have as their rituals, they also have something to do with this when it comes to what they want on their land, as far as the concerns when it comes to possibility of any kind of COVID. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Mack Rhoades, we hope, unless he's kind of scheduling, some other games when we're supposed to get him today at 4:20. That ought to be interesting as hell on what he's dealing with, flipping around, trying to find opponents, whatever, whether it's going to be here or in Dallas or if they're going to play the games in Illinois, against Illinois and Gonzaga and Indianapolis.
The bummer of it is once you lose those games, even if you can replace them, it's not like you can replace Gonzaga, who's a great opponent, with Kentucky. Because this is going to be hard. I mean, you might, but the likelihood of that, I would say, is pretty slim.
There's a debate in college football that Cincinnati and Brigham Young on 12-5, they don't have games. Mm-hmm. And would they like to tie each other into a game? We know Brigham Young was not really all that thrilled about playing Washington. I'm not sure why. I think they would be favored to win that game.
And Washington's not very good.
Play. If you can play, that's that. But they're trying to get quality points for the college football playoff, which that is later on tonight, their first release or discussion on what they're going to do with the college football playoff, which is going to be played when it's supposed to be played sometime, I guess, the semifinals and then also the championship game in early January. All right, 254-339-1122, and just summarize in your own words what you think. And exasperated is a great name, a great word, a great way to look at it. I don't know if anyone else has any other type of ways to do it.
Well, the other thing I would say is, and I've seen some of the responses oh my gosh, this means that none of the things that we planned for the season are going to happen, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that you need to look at it that way because, the same people that thought, Baylor's the only one who's having to cancel football games because of COVID. No, Baylor's in it now. Other people are in it now. Other people will be in it later. It's just a constant rotating.
Baylor's football, yes,
wheels
exactly.
suck.
Baylor's football team had to deal with it. Now Kansas State's been dealing with it, and other schools might be dealing with it as well. Now the SEC's dealing with it. Here are on the boards. I asked the same question. Alpha Needle sent me a GIF. Is that Paul? Would that be a GIF right there? With a guy walking up to another man and kicking him right between the legs. That's his reaction to it. Brian Etheridge, a guy gets on the computer, knocks it down, He's got all sorts of gifts. Another one, uploaded image has been blocked. Well, too many people let fear run their lives. Only one day they'll regret it. And, of course, there's a picture of a guy slamming his laptop and his PC and all that other stuff in his office and beating the hell out of it.
Well, those are great summaries. I mean, I don't know what to say, really. I mean, those are nice GIFs to, I guess, describe, people's emotions. But, wide variety, but all kind of under the same umbrella of just frustration.
I can't take much more pain. I can only take so much. Just leave me alone from 9:51. Exhaustion, so looking forward to men's and women's basketball, then COVID strikes again. I'm not sure I can clean it up enough to read it on the air. Whoever flagged the image deserves double 2020s on the various things that have been posted. We appreciate that. In fact, Brian Etheridge, one of those that's posted as well. We get it. That's why I asked. Let it out. Vent it. Doesn't mean that tomorrow you might hear about Illinois. We'll find out from Mack Rhoades today. All right, the rest of our schedule today. Grayson Gruenhafer joins us on Fridays. He's going to be on with us today at 4. Mack Rhoades, 4:20. David Hellman on the Cowboys. They had a scare today. Their strength and conditioning coach, Marcus Paul, had some sort of emergency situation. They shut down the Star. They canceled Mike McCarthy's press conference and practice today. He is in a hospital, Marcus Paul. There were some reports that were out of whack again. He's in the hospital. Family members saying that he's getting serious batteries of tests, but he was able to communicate with them by FaceTime on a couple of the tweets from family members. So I'm not sure what happened. We could only guess what happened, but thank God it appears as if for right now he's okay. Not sure about any further or lasting damage that might have occurred as well. All right? Double Sweeney, you going to get a Christmas card from you?
No, never.
Where is he compared to Urban?
I mean, nobody will ever sink to the level of Urban Meyer.
Bill Fennelly, by the way, Iowa State's, very fine women's basketball coach, contacted COVID. He was in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID. He's negative, but he'll have to go into the 14-day quarantine.
It's one of my favorite coaches to listen to.
Yeah, he can get a little bit high, overmodulated, can he?
But he also he's a very realistic dude and very optimistic most of the time when you hear him talk.
Yeah, Craig, have you noticed, and we'll discuss this with Grayson, that Baylor has fired off a bunch of new offers? Well, I think they would be doing that anyway, but obviously they got to play some catch-up.
Well, they kind of have to, yeah. They lost 5 commits the last 2 weeks. So Roderick Daniels now, and Hal Presley before that, and Byron Murphy before that, and I know
Masters before that.
Randy Masters. So, I mean, there's 3 wide receivers alone in that grouping. That's 3 wide receivers in one class you've already lost in decommitments the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, yeah, I would imagine they have thrown out some offers, and it's about that time. And Grace and I recorded the podcast earlier today. We talked a little bit about recruiting, but I'm sure he'll have some good stuff. And, yeah, they're kind of having to reorganize and reconfigure their plans, and I know that we're likely to hear from Grayson. They're going to keep, recruiting these guys, and I'm sure they will, but I don't like their chances to re-land anybody, because the chances of re-landing somebody for any school in recruiting is usually pretty small. It doesn't happen all that often where a guy's committed and decommits and then commits back to the same school. It just very rarely happens. When you do that move, you're typically already looking elsewhere or kind of have an idea of where else you're going to end up going. So, I'm sure he'll have some good stuff, but yeah, recruiting's about to pick up in a major way, because it has to. It has to, for them to finish this class off in the style they want to, and they've got some glaring holes that need to be addressed.
One note that is interesting because of the timing, I haven't said the name Dalen Mack since probably maybe after he finished his career at A&M. I saw him and knew about him at Gladewater. You mentioned Dalen Mack yesterday as one of the recruiting when we were talking about with Phil Bennett recruiting stories. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals practice squad today. I got that off of Scott Casterline's Twitter feed. He is an NFL agent. I thought that was rather interesting. And the city, the area of Dallas and Fort Worth will now have 5 college football bowl games. New Mexico Bowl, because of state guidelines in their state regarding athletics and travel, intercollegiate 2020 New Mexico Bowl will now be in Frisco.
Can it now be called the Old Mexico Bowl since it's in Old Mexico?
Yeah, that's
since we used to be Mexico. Texas used Mexico.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see the point in playing the New Mexico Bowl at all. So this is clearly a financial thing, and that's fine, I guess. I don't know that we really need these lower-level bowl games during this stretch. I just feel like we could probably stick to the college football playoff, the New Year's Day, and some of the other, like the holiday and games like that. There's no need for the New Mexico Bowl. I mean, come on. There's really not.
Let's keep it to 10 or 12.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for more college football. I don't want to see the season end early and all of that. But if we're having such an issue dealing with what we're dealing with, then why we're trying to bring 10 teams and all the people that come with that to one single city to play 5 different games, and especially when 3 of the 5 will probably not mean anything whatsoever.
Well, we don't know what it means to the program. I understand.
Right.
I agree with you, but you're right. It seemed like if there was a year to trim back in the bowl games, it would be this year.
Yeah, I'm sure for Wake Forest or something that a New Mexico Bowl win would maybe mean something for the program. Okay, for them. But for everybody else, I just don't think we need all the excess.
Here's TJ. TJ, it sounds like a university pulled a Florida State so they didn't have to play Baylor. Thanks for Paul, because it's too easy. Just calm down.
TJ and I had a long discussion about it on Saturday.
254, it would be different if players were coming up with a positive test, but our players are coming up with no signs of COVID, which makes it even more frustrating. That's about Baylor and their games being canceled.
Well, I think you have to worry about the false positives and the false negatives. And so if Scott Drew's been tested positive, then you can say, okay, well, he's since tested negative, and that's fine, but it's not surprising that somebody might go, yeah, I don't know if I really trust those results.
There's that thing about a hibernation period and all that. It's Jonathan, men's basketball cancellations are profoundly disappointing to me. The team has so much potential this year. That's from the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. There's 254-339-1122. Let's keep rocking and rolling with that. Also today, we'll hear from high school coaches. Today from China Spring and Lorena. China Spring has their showdown coming up with Sealy, and then Lorena moves into the next round with Hallettsville after they won last week. Lorena did with the game that was canceled and a forfeit in their favor. Sic'em365 Radio. Jack runs the mothership. Tyler, great to see you, young man. Sic'em365, your thoughts, calls, texts, and messages, 254-339-1122.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got their holiday savings event going on right now, and about to hit Thanksgiving, Christmas right around the corner. And if you're looking for a great gift to give to a loved one, then, of course, a new car would be a pretty nice gift, without a doubt, to pass along. Well, if you're in the market for a new car, they've got a lot of great deals for you. So take advantage while you can as the holiday savings event gets underway at Richard Carr, meaning it's the most wonderful time of year, and also meaning that you can save big on all remaining 2020 vehicles in stock, along with incoming 2021 GMC Sierras. And Sierra's a truck with it all: power, first-class seating, unbeatable technology. It's the best truck on the road, and during Richard Carr's holiday savings event, qualified buyers can unwrap $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra Tex Edition Crew Cab at Richard Carr. Maybe you're looking for a top-of-the-line midsize SUV. Well, Richard Carr is offering $7,000 off of GMC Terrains and $7,500 off of Buick Envisions. You can test drive both and save big today. And they've also got a compact SUV with loads of space and style. How about the new 2020 Buick Encore for only, or some semi-new 2020 Buick Encore for only $18,950. It's over $5,000 in savings on the top-selling Buick Encore. They've also got deals on Cadillacs and much more. And at Richard Carr, they love their healthcare workers, military, and first responders. Right now, all these valuable community heroes get GM supplier pricing on all cars in stock. And for every car or truck sold now, Richard Carr will donate a new bike to Toys for Tots Waco. So get yourself a great deal and give a deserving kid a bike this Christmas. It's a holiday sales event at Richard Carr. Get there now. Go to richardcarr.com or have them bring the test drive to you.
Have you tried a do-it-yourself program to lose weight? You may not know that in a typical do-it-yourself program, a quarter of the weight you lose is due to muscle breakdown and loss. With COVID harming obese and overweight patients, being at ideal body weight is more important now than ever. Over 30 physicians in Central Texas, tired of seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves, opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed weight loss program that targets fat and spares muscle. The 4 Muscle-Wise locations have taken off over 19,000 pounds from Texas dieters in the last few years. The combination of coaching and weekly body composition analysis to target the fat loss are the keys to success. The coaches teach you how to eat and live a healthy lifestyle lifestyle. Email Sic'em365 at musclewisenutrition.com today, and the coaches will contact you about their free educational seminars. Do not wait. Email today and start MuscleWise at Sic'em365 at musclewisenutrition.com.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sic'em365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
It's been a while since that Baylor stunning ending to the game in Lubbock, losing 24-23 on the last-second field goal. But a couple of players in that game that we're seeing more of. Abram Smith, because of the loss of Terrell Bernard, 13 tackles, including one behind the line of scrimmage, and running back Quaylon Jones had 21 carries for 90 yards. And I don't know this. When was the last time? Did John Lovett last year have a – did Hasty? How many times last year did a running back have 20-plus carries in a game? Might have been 5. I don't know.
I don't think many, because that's not really what they did.
Even Charlie Brewer had 16, one of his better games, finally getting loose, running the ball better. Of course, he still struggled with a couple of the throws, or not just a couple, he struggled. 76 yards, he had the touchdown, and boy, the one at the goal line, he just got hammered. Still kind of want to know, because we haven't been able to talk to him or Dabney about what was going on at that play. Did Dabney see Charlie? Did Charlie see the linebacker Schooler, who made a fantastic, picture-perfect blow-up tackle? So, Quaylon Jones, Abram Smith, he replaces an All-American candidate, right? And he played well. Dave Arad has even mentioned that. So he was asked earlier about stepping up and about all of what he's doing in the position he is with Baylor football about to play Kansas State Saturday night. Abram, when things are kind of not going well and the losses pile up, there's always things that can swirl, players that look maybe to go elsewhere. And what is it like inside at least the defensive locker room right now as far as everybody being all in, being patient, understanding this is part of just a day-to-day deal?
I mean, I think for the most part, a lot of us were here when it was like 1-11. So I feel like, it's all a part of the process. So with us having that mentality, having that mindset, I think it's just going to carry on and, get pushed down to like the guys who just got here so that they understand that it's going to be a grind at first and that we're going to eventually break through.
Are there any similarities? I know obviously 2017 was different for different reasons compared to now, but the coaching change and transition, are there any similarities that you can draw upon?
In terms of similarities, I mean, for the most part, I feel like it's kind of just the grind of it. Just really just the grind of it all. Just the whole like, I guess you could say, just the whole coming together as a full team is pretty much what we're getting at right now.
All right, so that's Abram Smith. He was a running back in high school, becomes a linebacker, had a nice chunk of tackles. You don't replace Terrell Bernard. We didn't think we could replace Clay Johnston either, and Terrell Bernard stepped up immediately. Abram Smith had a nice game in their opening game in his first start in the loss to Texas Tech. Quaylon Jones, I just mentioned this, 21 carries. I should have gone during the break, during the comments that were being made by Abram Smith. I love that because I want somebody that's going to carry the load. And when now you have Ebner and Lovett are expected back this week. Does he now get 5 touches? I even asked him about that. But don't you want a dog?
Yes, that's what I think. I think running backs are almost – you have to be really darn good in less than 20 carries to really make a solid impact. You have to have big plays. I think most running backs – you can't expect big plays, but most running backs can be the most effective when you give them the ball. I'll give you an NFL example. Zeke Elliott's not been getting the ball as much. But guess what the Cowboys did this week? They moved some things around. They gave him the ball, and guess what? He was effective. What do you know? Because that's what they're built for. The best running backs, whether you're talking high school, college, the NFL, the best ones are the ones that you just feed them and feed them and feed them, and they dominate. That's the best ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice to have, but you have to have an offensive line to be able to do that.
There you go.
And
that helps.
They don't. So, I mean, yeah, I'd love to feed a running back 20 carries a game, but if, 13 of those are slamming directly into a lineman's back or into 3 defensive linemen who have blown past, the middle of your offensive line, then, those total touches are nice, I guess, but they don't really amount to much. So it matters how you're getting the carries. So, with this offense, they're not in a position right now where they've been able to run the football very well. They did show some promise, though, against Texas Tech. I like what I saw from Jones, and I think McWilliams has something to him as well. Be great to have Lovett and Ebner back, even though Ebner, rarely touches the football out of the backfield at this point in his career. So really it's just, Lovett more so returning, and then Ebner is more of a receiving threat. But, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough defense they're facing. That's the one thing about K-State. K-State's offense stinks, but their defense is pretty good, so especially in the passing game. So the thing is Baylor's going to have to run the football. Like, they're not going to have a choice. This isn't going to be one of those games where you can get away with running for 93 yards or whatever their average total has been this season. It's going to have to be creative, and it's going to have to be effective for them to have a chance to win this Saturday.
The last person to have 20-plus carries for Baylor was Charlie Brewer. He had 27, I think, against TCU. That was the last. And so I'm going over game by game right now. Most of them were 15, 16, about 17, 18 carries in some ways, but I'm trying to find the last time a running back had 20 carries. Here's Quaylon Jones. He had 21. So he wants the ball, and he also provides something in the receiving game. And thoughts about having the load, the kind of carries he had, does it make it easier and better for him? Quaylon, when you were in high school and you put up big numbers, you got the bulk of the carries, and you had the 21 it was alluded to earlier. What is it like in college when you aren't always going to have that many carries to stay in a rhythm? And are you better? And what's it like if you get more carries? How much better can you be?
I feel like if I got more carries, I would be much more better because I'll be familiar more like with the game speed, and it'll open more of my eyes to where like wherever like holes I should be hitting and being more patient in when I'm getting the ball.
And as far as the receiving part of your game, I know you caught a lot of passes in high school as well, and you had a big conversion in the last game. What about that with you? Is that something you've always done? Is that something you had to learn along the way? And how comfortable are you in the passing game?
Oh, I'm very comfortable in the passing game. I just know that, like, if the ball is thrown to me, I know I'm going to catch it. That's just always how I've always been. Like, college is like running backs that can catch out the backfield, and that's something me and my dad had worked on. And just from leading into college, that's just all I just been knowing how to catch and can be in the pass game with him.
One last question, as far as with Treston and John apparently coming back this week. I know you guys are just getting back to work. What are the expectations? Have you been told about this week and the rotation or your role?
I should be in a rotation this week with John and Treston being back. We should just be like really just splitting reps right now, and that's really good.
I don't think John Lovett against Texas Tech, when they won the game to clinch a bowl berth, had 28 carries for 125 yards in that game at AT&T Stadium. That's the last time, at least just flipping through the last 15, 18 games, that Baylor's had a running back with over 20 carries. He had 28 in the win against Texas Tech.
Yeah, I don't really recall that number of touches, but, I obviously did. I don't really remember that game all that well, but, yeah, they were running the football well, obviously, so you could keep feeding them. But, the reason why you're seeing 15, 16 carries for your leading rusher every week is, well, for one, how often are these guys on the field? Like, how often is Baylor's offense, on the field, quite frankly? You got a bunch of possessions. How long do those possessions last typically? Not very often. Now, they've been a little better. It hasn't been all bad. They have been a little bit better. But, that's how you get 28 carries is by having your offense out on the field and collecting first downs and moving the chains and stringing together drives. And that's something that they've not done consistently at all this year in any game. So, yeah, it's no surprise that their running game hasn't, been sitting there with a 20-plus carry guy on a weekly basis. And then again, every week it's been different running backs practically as well. So, it's a combination of things, and a lot of it is a product of the thing that we hate talking about the most, but the reason why everything is the way that it is. And then that's why, your offensive line didn't get to practice as much as they should have. Your offense didn't get to practice as much as they should have. Every week, new guys are in and new guys are out having to play. It's just, it adds up. It really adds up. And I think that's had somewhat of an effect for sure on the Baylor running game.
The good news is that if you ask why, there's that's the answer. Yeah. There's not a subset of answers. It's not an unsolvable riddle. They get better at that. They get better. Bottom line, that little thing.
You get better at running the ball, pounding the rock, and having the kind of 200-yard game. I don't know what it was against Tech. That also affects your passing game, makes that easier. That also then keeps your defense off the field.
Gives your defense some confidence that they don't have to save the day every single week.
Yeah, and it also gives you a chance if you can run the ball like that. And we saw what Baylor did back in the days when they'd spread you out and they could run. It was always an underrated stat for them was their rushing offensive yards. They would pound you with their big offensive linemen, whether it was Lake and lightning speed or whether it was Linwood and his balance and power or Glasgow, whoever. They would wear you down and take your will. And very rarely has Baylor been able to do that in the last, really in the last 3 or 4 years. But they did have a better running game, and you wonder, Quaylen Johnson, Tay McWilliams, as you mentioned as well. And with Ebner and Lovett back, now you got to juggle. Do you have the dude? And we always thought there was going to be a 20-plus running back, it would be Lovett. But he also went out the very first time after the loss to Texas when he took that shot. That was a vicious shot he took. It was a clean shot, but knocked him out of the game against TCU.
For Lovett and Ebner, quite likely, not anything official, but quite likely it's their last 3 games they're getting ready to play in, I would assume. The guys, had their little dust up earlier this year, and, the way the season has gone, I don't get to read their brains at all, and I would love to be surprised by their decisions at the end of the year that both of them announced that they're coming back, but I'm just not banking on it at this point. But with them returning this week, I would think this is you're playing, again, a good K-State defense, so I don't know if you're going to get the job done with a couple of young running backs. I think you're going to have your veterans there to make plays. Ebner in the passing game and special teams and the running game, and then Lovett in the running game and potentially special teams as well. But, yeah, you're going to have to get squeeze something out of those guys. And, if they don't, then you've still got McWilliams and Jones, but you would love your veterans to step up and make some plays for you.
And you got the kid who we talked about, Jordan Jenkins, with last week, yesterday, who might be give the ball to him a bunch. But that, again, it's an incoming freshman. You never know. To wrap up this segment, high school football next with China Spring and also with Lorena. UDAT G-Town. Expletive deleted, all the way down. Then you don't say it?
No. What's an expletive?
Expletive.
What's an
expletive? Is that apples and oranges and potatoes and tomatoes?
No, it's expletive.
Expletive deleted all the way down to wingspan still matters. Sad little sparrow shuddering from climbing cat, tweeting can't get me.
You have to understand not everybody's reading the board. So that's in reference to Baylor's basketball game being canceled. And expletive, deleted is somebody very angry about the games.
Just bummed out. What an exhausting year. Is it March yet? I bled myself dry because you slaughtered, drained, letting go of this guy 951. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And then this one, Franco, shameless attempt to have comment read on the air by saying something positive about me and just being negative about Craig and Paul. But he doesn't mean it because Franco's a great dude. A few words, my stomach hurts. 951. He's a poet. This isn't football. Oh, that's from Texas Rainmaker. All right, coming up next, we'll hear from Brian Bell, China Spring, and Sealy coming up, and then, of course, Lorena and Hallettsville next on SicEm365 Radio. Don Shumidor, you have trouble going to bed at night? For the longest time when I spoke about Don Shumidor, it was about their cigars, and they still have phenomenal cigars. My brothers, Philip, Michael, and Robert, they love to smoke cigars, and they always, on occasion with the group chat, or text, they'll show what cigars they're smoking that day or in that moment. And a lot of times it might be cigars that are, I'm talking high level. I've got a few of those, too, in my humidor, whether it's Macanudo or Aston or something else. But they always take a picture. This is what they're about to smoke. If you smoke cigars, Don Shumidor, 48-foot walking humidor with all the great brands. Arturo Fuente, Rocket Patel, all the others. But if you fall asleep, but it takes a while for you to get there, do you struggle with your mind racing? Do you have issues where you just seem like it's an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, and you still haven't fallen asleep? They have VitaDreams. It's a CBD product that allows you and helps you fall asleep much easier before you even know it. And you could get that at Don Shumidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. They have the cutters and lighters and humidors for your cigars. They also have coffee beans at every aroma and flavor, an assortment of them as well. Don Shumidor in the Townwood Shopping Center. Tell Carol and Ashley Smokey sent you off Valley Mills in Waco.
Experience award-winning service and expert advice on Ram at Allen Samuels. We'll make sure your Ram experience is everything you expect and more. Now, during the Black Friday sales event, new 2020 Ram Lone Stars feature employee pricing for all, plus 0% for 84 months or up to $3,750 in values. Get an additional $1,000 if you own a competitive brand. No trade-in required. Ram from Allen Samuels.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Hi, this is China Spring football coach Brian Bell. You're listening to Sic'em365 Radio, your home for the best high school football coverage in the state of Texas.
This segment with China Spring Cougars football coach Brian Bell is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, First National Bank of Central Texas, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
You're just kind of checking off different teams that a lot of people looked at and say, okay, avoid this. Not that you're afraid to play anybody, and you never have been, but Jasper, you win big. Western Orange Stark, you're up 35-7. Confident as you are in your football team and staff, are you at all even like, wow, we're just kind of rolling?
Oh, absolutely. The outcome of the past 2 weeks have been really special, and just for our football program and our kids, and that's a testament to their work ethic and their preparation. But yeah, I mean, just going into every game, you don't expect to come out and control a ball game like our kids went out there and did. So that was very surprising, but kudos to them. They went out there and played extremely hard, and we were really excited about the outcome.
You and I have talked about this, and you and I discussed this a little bit ago. You're getting some breaks, but you're making a lot of those breaks as well. Isn't that really what you need to make a playoff run? Not just how good you might be, but you have to have a few things go your way.
Oh, absolutely. And I think any coach will tell you that, a lot of I'd rather be lucky than good, and so when the ball is bouncing your way, it creates a little bit of momentum, and our kids are running with it, and so they're not looking back once that momentum hits. So that's been good. This week it's going to be another big test for us. Sealy Tigers are ranked in the top 10 again, and everybody wants us to look forward to Carthage, and we got to just stay focused on these guys because it's a very, very losable game for us. They can come out and smack us. They're very sound in what they do, and their offense is deadly. And so we got to come ready to play.
What are they doing right now? Sealy, of course, when people think of Sealy, you think of Eric Dickerson back in the late 70s, and then, of course, the 4 years in a row they won it in the 90s, and they are still a good football program. What do they do that concerns you?
I mean, they do everything, and that's kind of what's concerning. Defense, they're very multiple. Offense, they're extremely multiple. Do a lot of different things. They run some option. They run some designed quarterback runs, and so it kind of puts our defense in a lot of different binds. So our guys are going to come out with extreme focus, and they got to play hard. So defensively, like I said, they give you a lot of multiple looks, and so we got to just try to stay true to our rules and just try to make things as simple as possible.
Even with the wins against name programs, they don't lose sight of what they've done every day to get to the point where they've had success.
100%. The two big-time football teams on the other side of the bracket from us, and we got to just stay true to who we are and stay true to what we do, and try to get the win this week. And who knows what could happen at that point. So, so just stay true to what we're doing and give them our best shot.
It's Thanksgiving week. That's always a fun week to practice. That means you've played pretty deep, and there's still more to come if you win. What's it like right now around the community? And you this is when, if you think about it, the first week of the playoffs, half the schools get eliminated, and then half of the half get eliminated, so there's not many left. What's it like?
It's a special time of year, especially practicing on Thanksgiving. So blessed and so grateful for the opportunity to come up here during the holidays and get to spend more time with the kids. And it's a special time of year. And when the teams start dwindling like they're starting to do, there's no bad teams. And our region's been tough. It's been extremely tough, and it's not getting any easier with Sealy. And then if we could somehow pull out a win, Salado and Carthage. I said everyone wants us to look forward to Carthage earlier, but I mean that's assuming Carthage wins. Salado's a good ball team, extremely, extremely tough. And I think Matt Stepp tweeted yesterday about the only time the Carthage has lost in the last 3 years or 4 years or something has been to a slot T team, and Salado's going to present a lot of problems. So we're going to have our hands full.
Hi, this is Ray Biles, head football coach at Lorena High School, and you're listening to SicEm365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Lorena Leopards football coach Ray Biles is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Coach, I know that last week had to be odd because of, Crockett forfeits, the day before the game, and you have to kind of adjust to that. How did you spend those couple of days readjusting and kind of getting your team into, all right, now you got to, wait a couple more days and then go mode for this week?
Well, we were playing on Thursday evening, and so our plan was that, to take care of our business, we were going to just take care of the film on Friday and kind of give our kids 3 days to get their legs back under them a little bit before practice on Monday. So all we really did, we got the word Wednesday night that they're, about the COVID situation in Crockett. And so we just restructured a Thursday workout similar to what we would do during the open week. We work a lot of technique, a lot of individual things that we just don't get an opportunity to do when you're preparing for a ball team each week. So we did a workout like that, but the toughest part was just to sit down with our kids and go, hey, it happened again. It's happened to us and it's happened to somebody else. And that's just the crazy part of 2020. That's where we are. So getting them to re-gauge their minds and get reset on what we've got to do moving forward, we just have to, we're not going to play a game today, but we are going to go out and we're going to work out and we're going to run and we're going to get all sweaty and everything today, just like we need to do. So that's what we did, be it good or bad. Unfortunate for Crockett, and I hate that, they went out that way. That's not the way you want to go out. But that's just, again, it's where we are right now in 2020. So I appreciate, Coach Thompson's transparency about the whole situation over at Crockett, because that was a tough thing to do.
Yeah. Well, this week you've got a really tough opponent in Hallettsville. They've got the good running back in Jonathan Brooks, who's on his way to Texas. They're undefeated in their district. They lost to Jim Ned and they lost to Shiner. So that's not two opponents that people are going to win a lot of the time. This is a really good team. What have you seen from them?
Well, you mentioned it. They're going to circle everything around Brooks. He's a fantastic athlete, talented running back. He's a big kid. I liken him to the young man down at Troy, but he's a bigger version. Extremely quick, very versatile, can catch the ball. He coming out of the backfield, he's a dangerous threat to catch the ball on the run too. So no doubt he's going to be playing on Saturdays, and we're going to have our hands full containing him. But that being said, it's not a one-dimensional thing. They've got a quarterback who can throw the ball well. They've got an offensive line that's big and physical, and they've got a very aggressive defense. They just threw a shutout Friday night against Diboll, and then this time of day, the shutouts come few and far between. So they're a very talented football team, well coached, disciplined. They're not going to beat themselves. I mean, we're going to have to play an A game
and get all over them from that standpoint to give ourselves a chance. But, we're going to go do that, and we're excited about the opportunity to continue to play, but a very good opponent.
When you have a guy like Brooks out there, a lot of the focus will go to him and stopping him, but you mentioned that they have other weapons. Do you have to, assess your team's focus as they watch the film? Like, listen, this guy's a dude, but they've got some other dudes too.
Oh, sure. I mean, they can throw the ball very effectively, and, the quarterback can pull it and go. And so, they're multi-talented there. It's not just a one-man show. But when you've got a talent like that and you're the coach, brother, you're going to get him the ball. He's going to get his touches. And, you may contain him. And then, it's 7th, 8th, 9th carry, it's to the house. So, the thing that we've got to be able to do is rally to the ball and get as many people around him as we possibly can. Don't get in a lot of one-on-one situations because he's going to win a lot of those. So, we're going to have to do a very good job defensively about wrapping up and hanging on and getting help and rallying to the ball.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricUSA.com.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of Sic'em365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, Grayson Grundhafer normally joins us on Fridays at 3:45. He's here this week on this Tuesday afternoon. Good afternoon, hour number 2. Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics. Well, that'll be interesting. With all the men's basketball changes and schedules and cancellations, Grayson joins us. Grayson, is it me? And I don't have anything in front of me other than it does appear, and I think they would be doing some of this anyway, but the staff with all the decommitments, and there have been, as we know, a chunk, throwing or getting or finding new blood and sending out more offers than you would normally see right before signing day?
Yeah, definitely. They're trying to figure out how they're going to kind of recover from those losses. They put out 5 offers over the last week, so they're definitely trying to find some solutions, find some guys who could come in and make up for the losses. But I will say they're also trying to recruit those guys back, whether it be Roderick Daniels, Byron Murphy, or Hal Presley. They're still going to recruit those guys down to the finish and hope that they're able to flip them. So lots of work left to do now in what was a class that we thought was pretty much full. It seems like now they're probably only, maybe 2/3 full. I mean, it's starting to get a little bit dicey, and they're going to have to find some rising seniors to add to the class, or maybe JUCO prospects.
Grayson, do you think though, we talked about it last week about the influx of people, do they have to, I know they got to be aggressive, but do you almost have to kind of wait as well and see what's going to fall out?
Yeah, there's a part to that, and I think Baylor pretty much has a number in their mind as far as what they want to get to allow them to still bring in transfers or bring in guys who are maybe late eligible guys or something along those lines, but mainly for the transfers. And I do think you'll see them kind of reserve spots for those guys, but I do think they also want to fill out a class, because we've seen in the past programs that rely on the transfer portal or rely on JUCOs, they usually don't have a lot of success. You have to be able to build a nice young core of guys who are built into the culture of the program. And I think that's key for this staff and key for Dave Aranda to instill his own culture and bring in guys who their freshman year on are believing and growing in that culture. So I think that's very important with this recruiting class.
Grayson, where is wide receiver now on the list of like immediate needs?
Oh man, it's high. I mean, I think with the losses that they've had with Roderick Daniels and Hal Presley, now Baylor's definitely in position where they're for sure going to take 2 more wide receivers in this class. There's a chance they could take 3, and I also think there's a very good chance they could scour the transfer portal to bring in an immediate impact wide receiver as well. So it's jumped up there right alongside offensive line, which is pretty crazy to say. When coming into the season, I think everyone was anticipating the wide receiver group to be one of the more deeper positions on the roster.
You know, I thought about this while watching Cincinnati playing whoever that was. It was UCF. Again, we both know that those are 2 non-Power 5 teams, but they're both talented. I watched this as I'm watching others around Power 5 conferences beat Blue Bloods. Some of them because Blue Bloods are in a mess, and some of them because it's 2020. There's a lot of talent out there. It's you know, it'd be great to sew up your 20 to 23 guys and all that, but there is an enormous amount of talent that out there, and a lot of them, whether it's finding Deuce Vaughn or finding Squirrel Williams or others that are also undersized or they're not big enough, whatever, at every position, there's plenty out there, isn't there, Grayson, for them to still recoup what they need?
Oh, there definitely is. I mean, there's guys that have offers from 20-plus schools who Baylor is just now getting in on. I mean, so there's guys who have tons of offers who Baylor's looking at. There will also be guys that have more mid-major offers that Baylor will probably look at and potentially offer. But I'll tell you, I do think this is a big year for those group of 5 schools, because I think there's some major damage that they could inflict in this 2021 class. Maybe not necessarily for Baylor specifically, but I think they're going to be able to walk away with guys that should not have ended up at their school just based on lack of testing results, based on lack of film, just a lot of different things that go into recruiting that Power 5 schools aren't going to have available to them, and it kind of evens out that playing field a little bit. So you could be seeing a school like Cincinnati or SMU walking away with some major talent that maybe they wouldn't in a normal year.
Grayson Grude for Sic'em365 with us right now on Sic'em365 Radio.
Grayson, when it comes to Kansas State, they're kind of in what Baylor was in a month ago right now. They're dealing with it. Freshman quarterback who they benched in the middle of the game last week. Do you see this as a potential get-right game for Baylor?
Yeah, I said that for last week's game as well. So it's one of those situations where I'm trying not to be, overly optimistic, even though I do think Baylor is going to win this game. I think they're going to find a way to make it a lot closer than it should be. Kansas State's been outscored 82-10 in their last 2 road games against West Virginia and Iowa State. Will Howard has 6 turnovers in the last 3 games. I mean, they just look like they're coming unglued. They've had 3 players enter the transfer portal, and according to Chris Kleiman, he thinks that it's had an impact on the team just based on what the players have been saying. And so they're going through some turmoil, along with the COVID that Smokey just talked about. There's a lot of factors going into this game to where this should be a perfect opportunity for Baylor at home to go out and get a win against a quality opponent. It's just a matter of whether Baylor's ready to take that next step or not.
Grayson, with John Lovett appearing as though he'll be back, and Treston Ebner as well, what do you foresee, or what would you like to see as far as the usage of a guy like a Quaylon Jones mixed in with the vets, obviously, who will, you would think, get a bulk of the carries upon return?
Yeah, I would love to see all 3 of them get plenty of carries. I think that Baylor will probably have some issues running the ball at times against Kansas State. So I think it's very useful to have a fresh body in there more times than not to make sure you're getting those extra yardage. You're not throwing a tired guy out there. But I expect Ebner to get plenty of touches in the receiving game along with the run game. But I expect Lovett and Jones to really probably get the majority of the carries, with Ebner, of course, getting a lot of his touches in the receiving game as well. So I think it's going to be a good 3-headed monster for Baylor. And, I mean, if Quaylon Jones continues to play like he did last weekend, I think that's great optimism for the future of that running back position. He looked very, very good, and he really wore down that Tech defense at times.
Do you feel like this staff is somewhat, and they have to worry about the games, and Kansas State Saturday, then 2 games after that. Do you feel like this staff, do you get the impression at all that this staff is in not a panic mode about their recruiting class, but obviously it's not quite DEFCON 5?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're in panic mode. I don't think that that's anywhere near where they're at. But I do think that there probably is some surprise at the fact that, they had guys committed for a long time and then lost 3 of the big pieces of their class. But I will say, I mean, when you're talking about losing a wide receiver, the state of Texas is so deep at the wide receiver position. You can find guys who can come in and play for you and make up for that loss. Byron Murphy is a very different example because defensive linemen are very hard to find. So for me, I think that's the big loss, and this Baylor staff is going to have to regroup and try to figure out a way to fill that hole. But at wide receiver, I don't think they're worried at all, and I'm not worried. Covering recruiting, just based on what they have and the guys that they're looking at, I think they'll be able to make up for it just fine. And this class is going to be very solid. This staff has built a very nice group of recruiters, and I think they're going to be able to finish pretty strong, especially with Dave Aranda's influence as a recruiter. I think he'll do a nice job to finish this class and potentially finish a lot of it early signing day, and then also in February maybe add a couple other guys.
Grayson, go ahead. Go ahead, Craig.
Grayson, we talked about it on Trust the Podcast earlier today, but your thoughts on Baylor basketball season being interrupted already right out of the gates?
Yeah, and guys, this is such a tough blow. I know everyone was looking forward to watching Baylor play on Wednesday and Thursday, kind of during Thanksgiving, and be able to just see the team go out and really provide some optimism, because I think Baylor basketball, this is probably the most talked about team in Baylor basketball history. I mean, that I know of, at least since I've been watching Baylor. I mean, everyone's got high expectations. Everyone's thinking Final Four. And so for them to go out and be able to play a school like Arizona State, who's in the top 15, and then potentially go play Villanova, who is in the top 10, that would have been great. But on the flip side, Baylor will maybe be able to figure out a way to get another game in before going to Indianapolis, where they're going to have to take on some really, really good competition with Illinois starting that off next week. So either way, I mean, it's going to be okay. This team's very good, but I do think that it's a bit of a bummer for fans and for players who have been getting ready for this season, and also especially the way that it came about. Just the fact that, in my opinion, I feel like they still could have played, and there was probably more of an issue raised by other teams than I think was warranted. But that's okay. Scott Drew and his staff will get it taken care of, and this Baylor basketball team's going to be ready to go whenever they get their first game.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's Grayson Grunhafer with us, SicEm365 Radio. The Big 12 football schedule. Mack Rhoades is next. Coming up this weekend, Friday afternoon, 11 o'clock kick, Texas and Iowa State.
So I'll spoil Trust the Podcast for anybody who hadn't listened yet. Grayson picked Texas to win this game. I picked Iowa State. I think Iowa State's got their golden opportunity to go and try and win the Big 12. As of right now, it'd be them and Oklahoma in a rematch, and Iowa State won that pretty handily the first time around, but that was a different OU team. But Texas is right there in the mix. Like, they're totally in the race, and especially if they win on Friday, then everything's turned upside down. So
everything always goes their way.
It always eventually it always does. But when you have opportunities to knock a team like that flat on their back and you don't do it, and whether the reasons are out of your control or not, that they're 5-2 and they should very well be like 3-4. You know what I mean? Or 4-3, but they're 5-2, and so they're still in the mix. And I went Iowa State, but man, if Iowa State doesn't win this game on Friday, ooh, buddy, because this is their chance. This is their opportunity.
There was a video that was posted. I can't remember who did it, but it was at halftime of the game in which they're leading Kansas State 35-0. And Dan Campbell, Matt Campbell, there's a speech of which it really was what you both just mentioned. The opportunity is in front of them. They're really good, but they have not been able to finish. And they've also had other teams jump ahead of them, like last year it was Baylor. They're really good, and Matt Campbell was trying to emphasize that. The scoreboard can fool you. It can keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. It's very good. If you could find it, I don't know if I can put it up. I'll try to. But it was pretty cool, and it really kind of summarizes what they're facing with an opportunity to knock out somebody from the race, or just have everybody comes back into kind of a big pile with the two losses in conference play. Coming up next, Mack Rhoades. What's been going behind the scenes with men's basketball?
I was just saying you're going to finish out the rest of that schedule. I guess we just returned to it. The Big 12 schedule, you were mentioning the Big 12
schedule. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. Yeah, you guys interrupted me. That's fine. That's my fault. Friday again, Texas and Iowa State. I didn't know there was a Friday game, 11 o'clock. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, 11 o'clock Saturday. Kansas State at Baylor at 6. Oklahoma at West Virginia. Could be a little bit interesting there. 6:30 in Morgantown, and Kansas host TCU Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Mack Rhoades next on SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway and Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through ATMs at all locations. And look, it's a local bank, and you need a local bank, a bank in your town, a bank that's going to have your back, because there are things that you can maybe explain or describe because you're just a number to some of these big national banks. And I'll tell you, because the First National Bank of Central Texas is run by people you know, people you'll see around. They're part of the community. You're part of the community. They're going to help you. Like Monty Hulse Randall Crawford, Sloan Keel, Joe Barrow, Mackie Bonner. Mackie Bonner helped me get my first loan on my own ever, and she was great about it. Jan Coleman, Link Harris helped me get my home loan. Rhonda Crawford, Brian Hand, Lisa Ogletree, and our good buddy Dan Ingham. Just so many great people, and they're here to help you. Locally owned, locally operated, locally run. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsborough.
Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
He's had nothing to do all day, and so why not do a show with us at 4:20 on Sic'em365 Radio? I can't even imagine what it's been like with you. I can't imagine with what's gone on up in Connecticut and also the game with Seton Hall. Where are you right now as far as your frustration level?
Oh, I don't. Good question. I don't know that I've had really
to be candid with you, time to think about that. To be honest with you, I think more than anything, I just think, probably all of us are mentally fatigued, and none of this is very much fun at all, and you hate it for everybody, first and foremost our student athletes, and then our staff, and, certainly our fans. I know that there was great anticipation about, the Empire Classic, that, those two games are, at least the first game against Arizona State, and then, the potential of playing Villanova, and then, the Big 12 Big East Challenge with Seton Hall, that, having to be canceled. So, again, I think we talked about this, last time, that there's going to be this start and stop to basketball, I think, this year. And, obviously right out the chute, we're dealing with it. So it's to say the least, just interesting times.
Do you think you'll have a quality opponent for Scott Drew and company before the game December 2nd against Illinois?
I can't guarantee that at this moment. We are working feverishly, to secure a quality opponent, right? And there's been some promising conversations, but man, I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point in time with COVID. But probably the best way for me to answer that is we are trying to secure a quality opponent here prior to playing Illinois on December 2nd.
Mack, just in the last week, we've seen a lot of cancellations, and a lot of it's based on one person or one player, one who traveled or whatever. And some of that seems to have sown some seeds of mistrust or distrust between schools. Are you seeing schools that have different standards on the way that they assess this, not really trusting each other, and is that feeding into some of these cancellations?
Yeah, I think, Paul, it's, I think, obviously within conferences, I think everybody's on the same page, right? You've got the one policy, one protocol, right, or protocols that you're following. And so I think within conferences, there's trust. Now, again, I know that we've got the Clemson, Florida State issue out there, but I think for the most part, there's trust within. I think, as we've moved forward, or as we've tried to move forward with basketball, and the non-conference games, I'm not gonna say it that there's mistrust, but certainly difference of opinion on protocols, right? And I think that's that is probably causing some of the issues, some of the concern, and making it difficult. And I would just say this, as we think about whether it's the Big East or any other of the conferences, the ACC, the SEC, right, Pac-12, Big Ten, right, I think we've got to trust their medical folks, their doctors, right, and it's not for us to say, hey, we don't trust what you're doing. I mean, if we're going to be successful this year and really try to pull off a basketball season, I think we've got to start with the premise that all of us, right, are going to do everything we can for the health and safety of our student athletes and staff. And there may be some nuances, in terms of how each conference handles testing, right? Some are going to test every day, and that's going to be an antigen test, or maybe a combination of an antigen PCR. Some are going to test, 3 times a week, right? Some are going to maybe handle contact tracing differently than others, and a lot of that's based on local public health officials dictating that for many, right? But all of us, are going to do what we think is best for the health and safety, and we've got to start there. And And if we can't, trust each other just on that basis, man, this is going to be hard. At least up until you start conference play.
Mack, what kind of conversations have you all had, if any, with your spring sport athletes, knowing the mental toll and drain that the constant interruptions have taken on fall sports? Just kind of preparing for that. Have you guys had any discussions, just trying to, let them know how start and stop this could be and try to navigate through just that mental fatigue that you've already had to suffer with some of the fall sports?
Yeah, Craig, great question. And, I think one, our student athletes are extremely astute and they're seeing it, right? The spring sports student athletes are seeing it and probably having conversation with our fall and winter sports student athletes. I think our coaches are doing a good job of, probably just setting expectations. And so that's, probably the best that we can do at this point in time. I think administratively, quite frank, it's been really hard to just look that far out in front of us, right? You're trying as best you can, but it just seems like every day you're like brought right back into that moment and dealing with the issue, the concern, the task at hand.
Paul asked you the question about trust and all that, but is any of this because there's so many different moving parts with protocol and policies and opinions? Is that also what's feeding or fueling some of this?
Yeah, I mean, there are some differences, and and I think that one conference may not be comfortable with the way a particular conference or school handles contact tracing, or school may not be comfortable with an institution using an antigen test instead of all PCR tests. And so I think that's some of what we're going through. And I've got to be, this is where I'm probably frustrated, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, I'll point it at myself. Some of the conversations that we're having, today, yesterday, I personally think we needed to have those a month ago.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, Mack, we brought that up at the beginning of the show about, as you kind of scheduled these things out, and it's hard to get everybody on the same page, but yeah, we brought that up. It's like, this is all happening now, but you've had a much more time to do basketball than you had to do football. Yeah,
I mean, there's just, and I think that's where maybe all of our frustration is, and you can't predict, right, and manage, that Newark right now is under a 10-day advisory, reside in place, stay at home mandate, right? That you can't predict, and that's certainly hard to plan for. But making sure that there's just not going to be issues between the different protocols, right? That's something that I think we as an industry could have done a better job at. And as we think about future in NCAA tournament, and quite frankly, maybe they have all of the specific protocols out there, and I just haven't read them yet because of everything we're going through. But I think those as best as possible need to be communicated, in advance with some time, because whatever the NCAA mandates may be different than what the Big 12's doing, or it may be different than what the Big 10's doing, or the Pac-12, right? And giving us all time to be able to adjust and make sure that, that we can adhere and follow all of those protocols. And so that's another thing that's at least on my mind as we think toward the future.
Well, Mack, while the men might have to wait a little while, the women are back in action tomorrow at the Farrell Center against Central Arkansas. I'd imagine there's some excitement. I'd imagine there's also, just the nervousness as well of hosting the event. How's the planning gone, and what are you expecting tomorrow?
Yeah, well, excited to tip off here at home against Central Arkansas, as you mentioned, 7 o'clock. But planning's gone well. Just grateful for our event, our event management staff. They do such a great job and have worked really, really hard in terms of all of the necessary precautions. The arena setup, right, and how we're going to handle team benches and, the 25% capacity and disinfecting the entire venue, right? How we're gonna do concessions, how are we going to handle the band and the buffer zone between band and fans and team bench area and fans and all of the testing, with the tier one, the people that are within the tier one group that will be, on the floor court level. So it's a lot, but our staff has done a tremendous job, and they'll be glad just to get the women's season started, and then coming back 2 days later and playing Friday at 2 o'clock versus Northwestern State. So excited for both of those games this week.
Yeah, what is the juggling act that you're dealing with right now? Text, calls, different. Jeremiah's on the phone, Don's on the phone. Is it almost like a stock market moment right now when you're going through all of this these last 2 or 3 days? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, it's felt like that since mid-March. I mean, it's every day, all the time. It's just this crazy world that we all live in right now, and it's unpredictable, and it just, and that's where you have to be nimble and flexible, and you have a schedule, right, and you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G to do that day, but understand that you may not be able to do any of it because you're dealing with some other items that have come up, or it just seems like there's always things that come up that you just you had no idea you're gonna have to deal with, and and that's the events, but it's also the people that you're dealing with, and again, this has been hard for student athletes, and dealing with just trying to manage that piece of it. It's been hard with staff and trying to deal with that piece of it. So it's a lot, and but I'm I think about Thanksgiving in 2 days, and man, I'm so thankful and grateful to be the athletic director at Baylor, and to be able to work with the people that I work with, to serve them, to serve our student athletes. I think we have the best of the best, the best fans, and I personally wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So it's you also have to have some perspective as well.
Most definitely. Mack, does it feel like it's been 4 weeks since you played a home football game?
It doesn't. I mean, it feels like it feels like forever ago. And it feels like every time I walk to the stadium this season, it's like the first time I've walked to the stadium for this 20 season. And there's been a lot of time in between, and again, just the nature of this entire 2020 year. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see our team, participate and play at home at 6:00 on Saturday.
Mack, it is Thanksgiving, and a lot of your athletes, usually sometimes they do get to go home during this week. Now, really, you can't do that because you're just kind of inviting issues to come in. Is part of that mental health, making sure that once this is all, like, you can get a gap into that these students do get to spend a little bit of time with their families when they can?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, great. It's a great point, but when you talk about, when you say, this has really been really hard on our student athletes, certainly there's the testing and the start and stop, but it's also, your family and, not being able to go home and spend, a Thanksgiving dinner, right. And so many of our student athletes, live within driving distance and they can't do that. And so that's just tough. And I know Coach Aranda and all of our coaches, right. They're doing what they can to try to fill the gap and, have student athletes over, per NCAA rules and trying to do just the best so that nobody's by themselves, nobody's alone. So, just dealing with that is just one of those additional elements. And, we had conversation about the Christmas holiday and this idea, especially basketball, is do you keep them all here? And man, it just doesn't seem right to do. And so we're not going to do that. But there are some people across the country that, the basketball student athletes, they're not even going to get to go home for Christmas. And I think that's just another element that makes this a hard time.
How's Scott Drew doing? I've texted him a couple of different times since the news came down on Sunday or Sunday evening. Is everything good with him?
Yeah, I mean, you all know Scott, and he's always in good spirits, and I know this has been hard, for him, and I think more than anything, it's been hard on him because just he doesn't want to disappoint our student athletes, and they were certainly looking forward to playing, and so I think that's where it's really really hard for him. But we've had great conversations, and we continue to have really good conversations. As you talked about it earlier, Smoke, about trying to find a quality opponent. So we've talked several times a day as we're working through that process, and again. Perspective. We're going to continue to be optimistic. We think we have the opportunity. Both programs have the opportunity to have great seasons, great years, great teams, and we're going to do everything we can to try to make sure that happens.
Well, if Scott kicks it pretty quick, then we need to make sure we send his blood off to the lab so that scientists can recreate unbridled enthusiasm as a vaccine for COVID, because he'll just smile it away.
Yeah.
He's on to the next thing and trying to figure out what's the next best step for us, and again, man, I really do enjoy working with Scott.
All right. I know you got plenty to do, including find another game or two if you can. I know you didn't promise anything, but do you feel like there's not imminent, but you feel good about a game or two, at least one before the game in Illinois and Indianapolis?
Yeah, I do think about I do feel good about a game, at least on paper, or one or two, and you can't predict the COVID piece of it, but yeah, I do feel good about it, and we're working hard. We're working hard to try to find, at least a one, that would be considered right, quality opponent, and trying to figure out, where you play that, where you do that at. The bummer about the multi-team event, right, is, when you lose the multi-team event, then and if you don't participate in one, you can only play 25 games. And so trying to find a way to potentially recreate so that you can still play 27 is probably most on our mind right now. Don't know that we're going to be able to accomplish that, do that. If we can't, then at least trying to find one or two one-off games, and like I said, hopefully, one of those is a quality opponent.
All right, thank you, Craig. Anything else? Thank you, Mack. I know it's a crazy day. Appreciate your time very much.
Well, hey, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and certainly to Baylor Nation.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Thank you. That's Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics. Again, on Scott Drew, he's doing okay, doing good. And like you said, he'll just smile it away. But it does appear as if, and Ashley Hodge had a note about this on his Twitter feed as well, and also in the premium section, that they are going to working heavily, feverishly, as he said, but no promises about a game between now and when they fly to Indianapolis. Hopefully that's going to work out with both Illinois, a quality opponent, and then, in fact, that's the former coach at SFA who's up there, and then Oklahoma State, and then also Gonzaga on December the 5th. So that's a lot. And I thought it was very transparent of him that he said, man, this is something we should have been talking about a month ago, maybe even 2 or 3 months ago.
I mean, yeah, it was transparent, but, I don't really have a negative to add on to that, but it's what we were talking about earlier. Like, you had all this time, and I'm not pointing the finger at Mack, but.
No, I think he's pointing the finger at all of them.
Right. Yeah. It's just. And at the same time, like, there's only so much you can do, right? Like, you're having to plan for football and volleyball and all the fall sports, and then you're also having to worry about the spring sports, and you can only do so much at one time, and you felt like it's only April. We've got time. We just need to get fall sports going, and then we'll worry about spring sports to an extent. And, in hindsight, should have been worrying about everything all the way through, and probably should have had some more conversations as it revolves around basketball. I mean, to me, I would have been perfectly okay because of the interruptions of the holidays just starting in January. I mean, that way guys can be at home on Christmas. Guys can be at home on Thanksgiving. Girls as well, obviously. Guys and girls can be home for the holidays, and not like this, well, you can't go back home because you have to be here because you basically have to be in quarantine. Like, that wouldn't sit well with me. And so the more I hear, the more I think they should have probably delayed this season until 2021, till January of 2021. I don't see how that would have caused too many issues, especially compared to the issues that are already arising. So, hindsight is 2020, no pun intended. But this is going to be very interesting to try to see how people navigate this season.
They were the ones that got shut down first.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the night before the NBA when they had the positive test. The guy, was it Utah, Denver, whatever? And then, college basketball, this is what started the whole thing. And here we are 8 months later, and here they are, maybe worse off than they were when it all was shut down in March at the tournament.
I mean, to me, the most important thing for basketball is playing March Madness. So all these non-conference games, take them or leave them, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, yeah, you need to have some resume. You need to have played a few games. You can't do like football and potentially have a team that's like 4-0 jockeying for the college football playoff. But, in basketball with such a wide field and all the conversations they were already having about like basically a free-for-all and everybody getting into a certain extent, I just feel like, maybe could have waited a little bit. But the most important thing financially is that they get the tournament in. So whatever they have to do to get the tournament in, that's what they're going to have to do, because I cannot imagine that college athletics can afford to miss 2 March Madnesses. Just no way.
The game between Houston, yes, them, and Tulsa. Second week in a row, the University of Houston, yes, them, will have to postpone a game against Tulsa because of ensuing contact tracing of student athletes at Houston.
And I feel really bad they had to take a 6-hour round-trip bus ride. That was a really and I know so
their response to last week, but it's Tuesday. Both times it's been on Tuesday when they've notified the opponent. Their frustration was Friday, and they were getting ready. I get it. It was just part of the frustration, and Dana Holgerson's always been kind of a smart-ass anyway.
I mean, that's so long ago now. I mean, like, that's just so beyond even worth. I totally get you. Dana's he's not for everybody, coach, but a great football coach or good football coach. But no, I mean, yeah, that's unfortunate for Houston, but Tulsa's a really good football team, so that would have been a good game.
Their top 25 team. When we come back, Kim Mulkey today on how they get ready. They open up tomorrow night at the Farrell Center against Central Arkansas. Who has she spoken with and maybe shared some ideas with about how they're going forward with their season as well? That's supposed to tip everything in college basketball tomorrow, with some games, of course, being canceled. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, heavy-duty things. I'm talking steel pipe and also metal. You need something to build. You need something to build a building, something to build a house, to build a metal building, to build something that's around your house, a fence, entryway, culvert, anything like that. It may even, that's what they do. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. I sat down in Braden Embry's office back at the end of March, early April, and talked with them about it. I'd endorsed their product for many years, and I said, hey, we're starting the SicEm365 Radio thing, and here's what we are doing now, and this is what we want to do. And he went all in. And we appreciate that, because that's what they do with you as a customer. They go all in. 1943. Just imagine all of what they've seen as a business since 1943. Whether it's different presidents, different economy, whoever's in Congress, what's happening with wars, what's happening with the stock market, what's happening with what they sell, their product. And 77 years later, they're as strong as they've ever been before at Pioneer Steel and Pipe. And locations, by the way, not just in Waco, but also a location in Bryan. Open on Saturdays, 8 to noon if you can't get by there during the week. But they will also send what you need, what you buy, what you are trying to use to build something to wherever the site might be, commercial or home, residence, whatever it might be. It's heavy. They'll unload it for you as well. 77 years. That's amazing. At Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
It was broad daylight.
I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Didn't even get a chance to visit with Mack about the latest testing numbers that were released, and there was the one number with the asterisks, and of course we believe that would probably be Scott Drew. On Baylor Athletics is updates of COVID-19, total active cases, asymptomatic, 1. And new cases since last week, 1.
That wouldn't be Scott Drew. They don't do coaches.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe they do. I believe that's just only athletes. So that would be somebody else, I would think, just based on what Mack has said to us before.
Okay.
But
all right.
But yeah, that's good news, just the one case.
No, I mean, it's like it's 1. You know, it's been 28 or whatever it was. In the 5 o'clock hour, David Hellman on the Cowboys and the Scare today at the Star with their strength and conditioning coach, Marcus Paul, the latest on that, and then also John McClain. And we'll ask John about this 25 modern-era semifinalists for Pro Football's Hall of Fame. There's some great names on there. Darren Woodson, Cowboys safety, is among that list. We'll get into that with John McClain as well. So that's coming up. But the Baylor women, they're scheduled to open up their year against Central Arkansas tomorrow evening at the Farrell Center. And Kim Mulkey earlier today, it's a very short media session, and I got into it a little bit late, but just her thoughts about as they face the start of the season, the challenges ahead.
The relief will be temporary with the understanding that that's just one game. And when we test the next time after that game, it could all be shut down. It will be exciting for the freshmen, especially their first college game. It will be exciting for our team because it's a new season. But for me as a coach, I tend to, kind of want to plan ahead, and that's just not going to happen. We just go day by day, get the results from testing, and just do what we can control.
All right, that's Kim Mulkey. By the way, she did mention that Moon Ursin has been cleared. Dee Richards, not quite, but Moon Ursin has been cleared to play in their opening game against Central Arkansas. Tonight, the college football playoff will start their circus every week for the next several weeks up until the championship 4. If you had to give 4, Paul, I'm not going to get into who would you say, not in no order, would be your 4 teams if you, in fact, were in that meeting?
Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson.
Clemson? Okay.
I put Clemson in there. Okay. I mean, look, they're still one of the best teams in the country.
No, I'm not arguing with you.
One score lost to Notre Dame, which is in the playoff, and that's what I'd put in. The Pac-12 has only played 1 game, really, so I can't really say anybody there's national championship caliber.
Okay,
so.
Craig?
Yeah, I mean, those are the top 4. Otherwise, you'd have to put A&M in there, and I'm not ready to put them over any of those 4 teams right now. So, yeah, Clemson's the only one with a blemish, and it was, to the number 2 team by, last second happening. So they're as close to undefeated as you can possibly be, and then the other 3 are. And Ohio State's played 4 games. So I think Oregon can make it interesting. They're already 3-0. And we'll see how their schedule goes the rest of the way. They had a close call. I think that was last weekend. But, yeah, Bama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson.
Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and COVID. Those are my four.
Well, COVID's national champion, then most
because they're
likely.
undefeated.
Yeah.
They're undefeated, and they're unbeatable right now. And
Actually,
on a roll.
They've been defeated thousands of times.
No, you're right. They're right.
Thousands of times.
A&M's got the win against Florida, the loss to Alabama, but the win against Florida, and I've seen some of those polls where Florida's ranked ahead of them. And they've looked good. Florida's looked really good. But I think when that happens, then you also need to say, that's the team that beat Florida. And it was a hell of a game. So those two are kind of going into that. Could there be a 61-58 controversy between Florida and A&M?
Yeah, but neither of those teams are getting in unless they, like Florida to get in.
It's an SEC team.
But they're going to have to win the SEC title game.
Yeah, but A&M is going to have to,
they're gonna
represent the
get blocked
West.
out.
And even then, you look at A&M's schedule, and they played Florida, but they beat Florida early in the year. The walk-off field goal, right? But they lost to Bama, and the rest of the way, their schedule is not very good. They don't play – LSU would normally be a game where you could say, like, hey, put that on the resume. Not this year. They play Auburn, who's barely hanging on in the top 25, and they have no business even being in that. The only reason they're in that is because of 2 officiated assisted wins. So I don't think that Auburn's really a top 25-esque team. So, A&M's kind of got their schedule working against them a little bit moving forward.
When we come back, David Hellman on the scare at the Star and how that shut down the Cowboys. This is a short week, but life is more important than football practice. They do play Thursday. This is SicEm365 Radio. If you have a car, pickup truck, whatever it might be, and you want to put something on it, you need to put something on it that is a bumper, a grill guard, or if you have a pickup truck and you got the pickup truck without a pickup bed, for whatever reason you just didn't want one, well, you can get one from Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. They have retractable. They also have ones that, quite frankly, they'll match the color of whatever truck you might have, whatever color the truck might be. Spray in and lay in bed liners. And by the way, with Christmas around the corner, somebody that owns a pickup truck that they've been talking a little bit about getting liners or maybe pickup covers for the bed, hey, not a bad idea. 220 Lake Air Drive. Go by and see the good friends at Pickup Outfitters. Jay Errett, the owner. When you buy something and have it installed by Pickup Outfitters, it comes with that lifetime guarantee, and they will also help you with any kind of warranty assistance when it comes to whatever you buy from them. 220 Lake Air Drive to spice up not just your pickup truck, but SUV as well, and even minivans. But ask them about it. 220 Lake Air Drive, createacommotion.com.
Dodge Performance from Allen Samuels. Dodge, ranked highest in initial quality according to J.D. Power. Get remarkable Dodge incentives, like up to $5,170 in values on new 2020 Charger SXTs, America's most affordable third-row SUV. Dodge Journey has employee pricing for all, and both Charger and Journey have no payments for 90 days. The Black Friday sales event, now at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Lamb went in motion. Dalton looking at zone. He throws. Touchdown. Wide open is the tight end, Dalton Schultz. The Cowboys take the lead.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. John McClain joins us at the bottom of the hour. Houston Chronicle. We're now joined by David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. So much to get to that all of a sudden this morning, everything kind of changed and got into a halted mode at the Star in Frisco. David Hellman joins us. David, were you there? And we now know the story involving strength and conditioning coordinator Marcus Paul. Any update on him, and where were you, and what was that like?
Well, you know, it's yet another example of the way things are different this year. I was not there. I was literally walking to my car to drive up to Frisco to get ready for interviews and practice and everything when I got word that something wasn't right. So kind of surreal. You know, I guess in a normal year I probably would have been there for that. No real update beyond the team's statement earlier this afternoon that he's in critical care, he's in critical condition with his family. So all the best to him and his family, but no real update on his status as of yet.
Well, David, to the good news that the Cowboys actually had this week, they got a win, and that team looked a lot different than there's more cohesiveness. They're still not great on defense, but they're not running. People aren't running through them. Do you think that the bye week enabled them to come together a little bit more as far as like an administrative of this is how we kind of need to execute things?
Maybe the bye week had something to do with it, but to be honest, we've been seeing signs of this since the Philly game. It's 3 games in a row. I was joking during the Vikings game that, for better or for worse, they look like an NFL team again. Which, you can make fun of that if you want to, but they sure, it's fitting that they're playing Washington this week because that first game against Washington was the epitome of. They did not look like a pro football team. They looked completely disinterested. Half-assed, for lack of a better term. They just didn't look like a professional team. So, part of me really thinks more so than any kind of bye week or anything, maybe it was the embarrassment of being beaten that soundly by a team that's not all that good that made them do a little bit of soul searching and say, like, obviously we can be better than this. We might not be the best team in the league, but that's just not the type of effort you don't ever want to put on tape. And, to their credit, they haven't won all three of them, but they've played much more competently in these 3 games since that happened.
David, the Thanksgiving break, is that something they're just kind of, you think, used to at this point, given that they always play on that? Or is the quick turnaround, you think, detrimental in any way?
It's funny because, obviously, in this day and age, everybody's got to play on Thursday. So it's not as unique as it used to be. But, the Cowboys have kind of settled into this routine where, for everybody else, sometimes your Thursday game is going to be week 2 and sometimes it's going to be in October. The Cowboys don't ever have to worry about that. They know that it's going to be Thanksgiving. So it kind of, I assume that gives you a little bit of a mental edge. You know how to handle it. You know how you're going to feel at that point in the year. And then, the new fun thing is it certainly seems like this is going to be a trend because I think they've done it 4 out of the last 5 years is these back-to-back Thursday games because NFL Network just absolutely wants to have, or and the Fox affiliates, they want to have that Thursday night Cowboys game. So, they don't get their long weekend until after they play Baltimore next week. So, like I said, it's kind of a trend at this point where in late November you're going to play 3 games in 11 days. And it's not ideal, but it is what it is.
I thought, and this is what I took out of the game on Sunday. One, and Paul and I usually have kind of a text back and forth when the game's going on, and I thought that was as physical of a game. And I know the NFL, even if you're losing 17-3 or you're a dud, that it's physical, it's violent. I just thought that there was a tone set, and it just seemed like they were flying around, playing free and easy, and playing fearless. Is that something you saw too?
Absolutely. It's funny. 20 minutes before y'all called, I did an interview with Darren Woodson for my own show, and obviously he knows a thing or two about good defense. And I was like, did that look like the most physical game of the season for you? And he was like, oh, absolutely. Like it's night and day in terms of, obviously they forced 2 turnovers. Donovan Wilson was hitting everything in sight, but really just everybody. Flying around. It's a cliche, but that's exactly what it looked like. And I completely agree. I don't think we've seen that more than a couple of times this season. And, that's one of the more encouraging things for these last 6 games is if they can keep doing that, they're not going to be the best defense in the league, but you give yourselves a shot if you're doing that for sure.
So moving Zach Martin to tackle a few weeks ago was called fantasy football nonsense by Mike McCarthy. And then he did it. What made him go in for fantasy football nonsense?
Yeah, I wish, only he knows the real answer to that. I'm still kind of miffed about the whole thing because I've never coached football. I didn't play it at a high level, but I've covered it for a long time. I have a pretty good grasp on the game. And, I thought it was insulting for him to insinuate that it was nonsense a month after we saw Zach Martin play right tackle on no notice in a game. Like, we saw him do it in a game with no notice. And then he called it nonsense. I was like, that's just BS. So maybe it took 9 weeks for them to get tired of seeing Terrence Steele struggle, or maybe they really, they wanted to make sure that they trusted Connor McGovern to handle himself at right guard. That's a plausible theory that maybe they needed some time to evaluate Connor McGovern to make sure they trusted him. But I don't think I buy it, just in the sense that from what we saw of Terrence Steele at times this season, I'll take my chances with what Connor McGovern can give me, especially when you consider that he was a top 100 draft pick, and this and that and the other. And like I said, I don't know why it took him so long, but it aggravates me to this day that, Mike McCarthy said it was nonsense, because obviously it's not. Zach Martin is a Hall of Fame caliber player. Everybody in the world knew he was capable of doing that.
My thing that I wrestled with was exactly that. So whatever Connor McGovern is better or worse at, like Connor McGovern was in their minds worse at whatever Terrence Steele wasn't. And that was the lesser, that's the only reason to do it, to me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And maybe hindsight's 2020 because Connor McGovern's basically a rookie. You know, he didn't get into the action last season. But even still, I mean, you know, we've had a few weeks to evaluate Connor McGovern as well. You know, he had to play against Arizona and Washington while Zach was hurt, and I don't buy that they were legitimately worried that Connor McGovern was going to give them worse than what they've seen from Terrence Steele. I mean, Terrence Steele has had a hand in, you know, several of the biggest breakdowns for the offense on the season. I mean, you think back to the Cleveland game, strip sack from Myles Garrett. And I mean, I don't want to dog the guy. He's an undrafted free agent playing as a rookie. But that's what they were choosing to trot out there over Zach Martin. And I just never really thought that made a lot of sense.
David, what have you thought about the rise, so to speak, of Donovan Wilson, and what are your expectations for him moving forward? Where do you see his game progressing, or maybe needing to be a little bit more polished, if any?
You know, it's really funny is I can't help but laugh because, you know, we in the media, we like to act superior to the fans sometimes, because even going back to last season, people kept saying, why won't they play Donovan Wilson? Why won't they play Donovan Wilson? You know, he had a pick in the preseason. He did this in the preseason. He looked great. And you kind of roll your eyes a little bit and say, all right, y'all. I mean, you know, preseason game plans are not exactly complex. Like, just because he did that against backups in Honolulu doesn't mean that he's ready to play, you know, Pat Mahomes. But the guy's made the most of every single opportunity that he's gotten. And, you know, it's like he's proven the coaches wrong just as much as he's proven the fans right. Because if you go look at his snap count, you know, he was only playing special teams for the first month of the season. And then his snap count just get higher and higher to the point where, you know, he had his biggest role of the season on Sunday and forced 2 takeaways. So, you know, his game is definitely not perfect. He was part of a few coverage breakdowns. He had a hand in that long touchdown to Justin Jefferson on Sunday. But, I mean, if you're capable of producing 2 takeaways in a game, I will take whatever, you know, I'll take the downside if you can give me that kind of upside. So, you know, I don't know if he's the next Darren Woodson, but it's been a long time since they've had a safety make 2 big plays like that in a game. So I'm interested to see if he can build on it.
Yeah, the last one was Jeff Heath, who the fans ran out of town on a rail.
Yeah, no, and hey, AFC, the reigning AFC Player of the Week, I believe. I don't know if they've announced those yet for this week, so he still gets it for another day or two. Yeah, you know, it's when you think about all the turnover with this secondary, obviously you got so many free agents and so many unknowns for next year. Donovan Wilson is like high on the list of guys that I'm watching in the last 6 games, because if he keeps this up, then all of a sudden, you know, you're kind of penciling him into the lineup as somebody that you're going to hope to count on next year.
They have a chance here. This you know, there's that tug of war. I have, and I've said this on the air. I don't care what the future is, as far as I understand you want a top 5 draft pick or whatever else, but the way things have fallen here, does it give them hope because of how bad the division is and who they still have on their schedule compared to others, including a team right there in front of them on Thursday?
Well, the beauty of it, you know, and it's great radio conversation, it's great argument conversation, but it's not really up to us what they should do. You know, like me personally, David Hellman, I'd probably rather have a top 5 draft pick than lose in the wild card round, but it's not up to me. The team is the one that's going to go play 6 games. And I think if you look at every factor, I mean, it sounds ridiculous because we were just talking about how pathetic they looked a month ago, but if you look at every single factor, I think you have to consider the Cowboys the favorite to win the division right now. And I mean, again, I know that sounds crazy, but go look at what's in front of the other 3 teams. You know, Philly's got a murderer's row. They start with Seattle this week. They've got Green Bay. They've got the Saints. I think they've still got the Cardinals. The Giants still have the Browns and the Cardinals. Washington's got some tough teams. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know their opponents off the top of my head, but they've got some playoff contenders left to play, whereas the Cowboys have a struggling Baltimore team in 10 days and a whole bunch of losing teams other than that. They got 3 games against this awful division. They got a banged-up 49ers team. There's just not a whole lot on the schedule that looks daunting if they can play the way they did against Minnesota. So, and, you know, that's obviously a big if. This is a 3-17. Not saying they're going to run the table. But when you look at all 4 of these bad teams in the NFC East and who they have to play, I think the Cowboys easily have the most favorable road. So it's going to be a fun final month.
Just looked up Washington, at Dallas, at Pittsburgh, at San Francisco the next 3 weeks, and then Seattle, Carolina at home, and at Philadelphia to close. That's Washington.
There's 2 or 3 losses right there without question. Yeah,
Washington, there's
maybe
probably 5
7.
or 6. Yeah, there's.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very interesting. I think three teams in the NFC East are going to finish in the top 12 in the draft order probably, and then the fourth one is going to pick somewhere in the 20s because they're going to make the playoffs. And like I said, we can go back and forth about whether or not it's a good thing to make the playoffs, but it's up to the teams to settle it. And like I said, based on the talent that they have and the talent of the teams they have to play, I think everybody, if you're trying to make the playoffs, I think everybody would prefer to be where the Cowboys are right now.
Thank you, David. Appreciate Paul. Anything else? All right. Thank you, David Hellman. DallasCowboys.com. We appreciate the time. 518 SicEm365 Radio. And again, if you missed the story, the strength and conditioning director, Marcus Paul, was taken to a hospital and was going through an incident that was not good at all. And there were a lot of speculation about what was going on. It was non-COVID related. And then I saw some of his family members start to clarify things, all along with the Cowboys in their in fact, press release that came out.
Yeah, and there's been some outlets that have had NewJersey.com, which I would say is a pretty reputable, or should be at least, pretty reputable website, right? Like the paper for the New Jersey area. And they had reported a couple hours ago that he passed away. And I've seen nothing confirmation-wise on him passing away. But that's not...
You don't make that mistake.
NewJerseyDude.com. That's NewJersey.com. That's a big paper. And they reported that, and now I think they may have taken it down. But, yeah, that's bad reporting.
I have to tell you this. If you miss a story, sometimes it is because you might have sources that aren't good, or just something you just weren't paying attention. But you miss a story about somebody dying and they're not dead. I don't know how you overcome that. I honestly don't know how. I'll tell you, I'll, if you don't mind me sharing this, on Sunday evening when Corby sent me a text about Treon Smith, I mean, first of all, you sit there and you're stunned. I shared it with you guys that, hey, there's a story out there. We're hoping it's not true. Then you start to find those who you can trust, Tommy Brashears, Rick Rhoades, among others. Not to mention, I could trust Corby. 100% could trust him, but you got to double down, triple down on a death.
Yeah.
And so that's why it wasn't something boom. Plus, you got to respect the family. And I know his mother enough from the time he played. I sent her a text, and she responded much later that night. But man, on someone dying, you missed that. I don't know how you overcome that.
Eli Manning tweeted out he will be missed 5 hours ago. He has not passed away yet, to our knowledge. But that goes to show you just how, I say it pretty frequently, but people get all their information from social media, and 75% of it might be total bull honky. It's you got to be really careful in passing along information, and people are so reckless with it now. And then if they're wrong, NewJersey.com is just oh, our bad. You kind of reported that a dude had died, and Eli Manning is under the impression that he died because of reporting. But
how many celebrity death hoaxes have there been on Twitter?
Countless. Yeah,
and I look up and I say, oh, it's R.I.P. so and so.
Well, that's usually a K-pop fan that's trying to get something trending with their fan cams and dumb stuff like that. But you're right. I mean, there's always just constant back and forth bad information.
The Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award winner is Texas State quarterback Brady McBride, 443 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and a 47-45 win against Arkansas State. 5 touchdowns, tied a school record. Yards passing is second highest in school history. Let me see here. Davis Brent of Tulsa. That was a phenomenal story. Their game with Houston, if you didn't hear earlier, has been canceled or postponed because of Houston having some problems again with the COVID. Also, is receiver Juan Carlos Santana, went to Katy High School, had a big game. Honorable mention, Sincere McCormick, who's won it. UT San Antonio running back. Jeff Traylor's had a good year, his first year at UT San Antonio. And then I really was very tempted to vote for Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver from Lake Travis at Ohio State. 7 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, because it was such a big game.
He's a freak show.
He's
man.
crazy good. But Davis Brin, the quarterback at Tulsa, what a story that was. He didn't come in until late because Zach Smith, who won it last week, had some rib damage.
Yeah, I think Smith left in the first or second quarter.
And that game was like 0-0 for the longest time. It was terrible.
Yeah, and then Bryn came in and, led them to a win. And so all the games that, you see Baylor losing, Tulsa's winning those types of games, or like the type that Baylor won last year. They're finding a way to win at the end, and that's how you turn a season that would otherwise be 500-ish or below 500 into one heck of a season that Tulsa's certainly going to remember for a long time.
Do we have a break before John McClain or 2 breaks?
What do you want to do? We'd have to go quick.
We'd have to one.
Yeah.
Just one?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a random NBA note that I had to pull off. I had to mention this. Tim McMahon popped this out back over the weekend. Trevor Ariza, pretty good player?
Yeah, it's good.
Has now been traded 10 times in his career. 10. After going from Portland to Houston to Detroit to Oklahoma City without ever really leaving home this week. 10 times he's been traded.
That's a lot of moving. That's
I don't care how many millions you make or how glamorous that life might be.
No, that would get old, I'm sure. I would say that's a really incredible experience as far as being able to see and live in a bunch of different places. Now, granted, you want to eventually plant roots, I'm sure, and not two or half the country. But yeah, no, that's an incredible
hey, look,
journey.
Is Trevor Ariza a married guy? Because if he's not, then as an NBA player, I mean, you're kind of living the dream. I'm just saying.
Right, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, you are. I mean, yeah, just city to city, and you're a bachelor NBA player worth millions. Yeah, I'm sure that's a fun lifestyle. Not right now during COVID so much, but typically it is. But yeah, that's a record, I do believe, is what Tim McMahon pointed out, is that he broke Quentin Richardson's record for, I guess, the most amount of times being traded with the 10. So that. Yeah, and not to mention 7 days, 4 teams is how he became the most traded player, because on Sunday he was a member of the Blazers, on Monday he was a member of the Rockets, on Wednesday he was a member of the Pistons, and by Saturday he was a member of the Thunder.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do with Tyler Bolden here. We're just going to get him a bunch of TV gigs in a bunch of different NHL cities, so he can go from Dallas to Toronto to like San Jose,
sure,
and just live that life.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, he's a young guy with a mustache now. He's got it going.
Yeah, he does. He did grow that stash. He looks good, Tyler Bolden.
Yeah.
Jack, microphone on, please. I just want to check with you. We kind of have taken you for granted today. Yeah. We were scared to death you may not make it through the first segment, much less you've now gone 2.5 hours almost into this thing. Are you breathing? Are you? You're still there? You're good. I offered to get you some food, and what did you tell me?
I get nervous, so it wasn't going to be a good idea.
But I asked him about like you're watching your favorite football team, NFL, college, or whatever, a big moment, something that's, and he says different. It's a fan type thing. That's it's different.
He's working.
I don't have control over that.
Well, you have all the control in the world. We're not jinxing you
Don't
either.
tell him
I mean,
that.
you've been great. I'm sure Armstrong may want to extend his stay.
All of a sudden, you tell him he's got all the control. The graphics going to be like the Jack McKenzie show.
Well, at least let me make it a surprise for me. I was like, come on.
No, it's fantastic. You've done great. No, Armstrong is fantastic. He's the one that kind of taught you guys, right? He's the dog. And then obviously with what Jack's doing, what CJ did until he quit on us, right? Because he had to go to another internship, and then
2 more. Yeah.
What Drake's doing as well. So man, you've been great. I had to tell you, I didn't sleep because I was worried about you. I was concerned.
Let me be the one who loses sleep. We need you looking pretty up there.
I was not. Well, first of all, you can't do anything with that. But I felt confident because you were so nervous. I think that's good that you're nervous because it meant a lot to you, and we appreciate that. Craig, anything else? All right, when we come back, John McClain, Houston Chronicle, his thoughts about the NFL, whatever the stories might be, and then also the college football 25 modern era semifinalists, and maybe his thoughts about how many of those get in. This is SicEm365 Radio.
If you are in the market for a new home or trying to sell the one you're in, or probably both, you need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson. And the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713. Or give him a Google, Lance Donaldson, eXp Realty, or lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Check out his listings. Learn about Lance. Lance is a great guy. He's got a big family, so he knows what it's like to have to search for a house that fits that big family. He knows what you're going to need. He's also a great listener, as someone who will find all those things that you didn't know that you wanted in a new house, or just from his own personal experience can tell you this is good, this is great, you're going to love this. Plus, he's fun to hang out with, so you're going to like looking at houses with him. So all of those reasons are why you should give Lance a call if you're looking to buy a home or sell the one you've got. Again, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com, or just give him a Google. It's easy that way. Lance Donaldson and the eXp Realty.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeview Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, he is a Hall of Famer, Houston Chronicle, worked at the Trib, Waco's very own Baylor graduate, John McClain, with us on Sic'em365 Radio. John, good afternoon, sir. I saw the list of the modern era semifinalists, and man, whoo, it's always hard to kind of find 5 or 4 or 7. How many out of that list do you think will make it?
I think it will be the maximum. That's 5 modern era finalists. And I told Paul that Manning guy's got a chance to make it, and Charles Woodson will make it. I believe this. Calvin Johnson, we don't put a lot of receivers in on the first ballot. We do that for Jerry Rice and Randy Moss, but a lot of great ones. Michael Irvin, Chris Carter, Marvin Harrison, Terrell Owens. They had to wait 2 or 3 years, so it won't surprise me if Calvin Johnson does too, because we have to take care of so many deserving candidates who are worthy and we've passed over for one reason or another, almost always because others we determine are just more deserving that year. But it's going to be difficult. I was telling Paul, this is the way it was with Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. We don't need to hear a presentation. We tell the guy, look, just don't even get up. Just move on. And that's the way it'll be with Peyton. Maybe the guy from Indy, Mike Chappell, will say, ladies and gentlemen, Peyton Manning, and sit down. And another one that I think will get in at some point, I'm just not sure, because he was a great pass rusher for 2 teams, and that's defensive end Jared Allen. He had a long career. You know, he was a Kevin Green type, even though Kevin was an outside linebacker and a 3-4. Waited a long time, but I definitely think Jared Allen is deserving of being enshrined.
John, there's so many people that were going in this past year, and obviously got postponed. Do you think that they'll expand that out and just make it like a week-long event where you have maybe you put in 7 tonight, 7 tomorrow night, 7 Wednesday night, something like that?
Well, not only do we have last year's class, we have that Centennial class, and that Centennial class had 10 members of senior members like Cowboys Cliff Harris, and then of course this year we voted in Drew Pearson, and so there's going to be. I think they're going to do it on multiple days at the same time, and I feel sorry for my friends in Canton. It's hard enough when you have one normal induction weekend where Canton grows from about the same size as Waco to 250,000, and hotel rooms are taken up all the way from Akron to Cleveland down through the Amish country. And it's such a big deal up there. I've always encouraged people. When I went in the Hall of Fame in 2006, my good buddy Gary Hart and his wife Jane came up there, and they stayed in the Amish country, and they saw everything and saw how special it was. And I tell people, if you're a pro football fan, go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, especially on induction weekend, and go to Lambeau Field to see the Packers, preferably in December or January, when it's not the same when it's nice and warm and toasty in September. And so those are the things that I recommend to do. And what the Hall of Fame people are going to have to do, like you just mentioned, Paul, over multiple nights, boy, they're going to need some strong liquor after it's over.
John, it hasn't been pretty, or it wasn't pretty last weekend, but Texans do get a win over the Patriots, now turn their attention towards the Lions. What are kind of the vibes right now around the Texans franchise?
Well, it's interesting, Craig, because the teams that have beaten the Texans, they're 3-7. Those teams are 50-20. I have never seen a team play a schedule like they have. 4 of those teams are in first place. The only team that they should have beaten, I believe, that they lost to was Minnesota. That was the coup de grace for Bill O'Brien to come in here like Kirk Cousins when they were winless, throw 3 touchdown passes and look so good. So they got him out of there. They got a chance to be 3-1 since the bye. They got a chance to have a winning record, and they still play Indy in the next game. But the Texans showed when they put up 36 at Tennessee and lost in overtime because their defense couldn't stop the Titans on the last two drives. Because Deshaun Watson, he's playing great. Because Watson is playing great, they are capable of beating just about anybody. They have 4 one-score losses. They were 8-3 in one-score games last year. So I think they should beat Detroit. The Lions are coming off a 20-0 shutout loss to Matt Rule and the Panthers. And I'll tell you something else. The last time I was in Detroit on Thanksgiving 2012. Texans won 34-31. J.J. Watt had 3 sacks, 5 hits on the quarterback, 5 tackles for loss, 2 deflections. And I don't think he's going to duplicate that. He was second year then. But the Texans ran. They had over, I think the two teams combined for 1,026 yards. Matthew Stafford threw for 441. Texans won an overtime field goal. They would take an overtime field goal in this one too. But as they know, this game is special. We all grew up watching it, and they know that it's a special time, a special day because of the tradition. And it doesn't matter what the team's records are. People are going to be watching that game. And if Watson and his receivers play the way they did against the Patriots and the defense plays the way they did against the Patriots, they should beat the Lions.
John, we mentioned, we had David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com. They had the scare today that was pretty frightening, apparently, with Marcus Paul, who's been hospitalized. Did you know Marcus Paul? Had you met him along the way over your many years of covering the NFL?
No, I did not know Marcus Paul, and I was sorry to hear that they had to shut down everything, and especially in this day and age, teams are having to do it almost every day because of COVID-19. And when you see it happen to a team and it's not COVID-related, that is scary.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was. It was apparently, hopefully, sounds like he's getting hospitalized, and hopefully they're going to find out exactly what's wrong and there's no damage or anything like that. So the Cowboys go into Minnesota and maybe play their best game of the year. Minnesota 5-6, but had won 3 straight. And now, I mean, who knows? The NFC East is open. It's been open. Hell, they could have lost it and still had a chance. But your thoughts about if you got a chance to watch them at all, it looked like they kind of look like an NFL football team.
Well, Andy Dalton came back, and there was people out there that wanted Garrett Gilbert to play. And if you want to lose games and get a higher pick, like I think they should do, because winning the East is nothing special. And if I'm the Cowboys,
Sorry, this person keeps trying to call me.
Is it a
yeah, let me call John
stalker?
back. I don't know. I mean, it's from Hearn. I'm guessing it's a family member whose number I don't have saved on my phone, but I don't know.
Okay, all right. That's John McClain. We'll try to get that Cowboys with the nice win. But they didn't get a practice. They didn't practice today, so they have one more day until the game Thursday with the Cowboys and Redskins at AT&T Stadium. I don't know if we'll be able to get in touch with him yet or not. I'm not so sure. Let's see here. Yeah, the semifinalist list. Craig, off the top of your head, if we get John. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, Cornelius Bennett, Tony Baselli's been a part of it a few times. Torrey Holt's been a finalist a few times. John Lynch, who's now the general manager of the 49ers. Okay, we have him back. Sorry about that. We'll try to go over that list in a minute. Go ahead. You were talking about the Cowboys in the win and Andy Dalton being a part of that.
Yeah, and you can look at it. They're tied for last place, so they're a half game out of first. Teams are not thinking about draft choices. Coaches and players, they want to win. Texans don't have any draft choices to play for because their first and second round picks belong to the Dolphins. But the thing is, if you get a playoff game at home, you're always capable of winning. Cowboys beat Seattle 2 years ago. You know, they play in the cozy confines indoors, of course, when they want to. And if say Philadelphia wins that division and the weather's terrible at Lincoln Financial Field, you know, they're capable of winning a game. But boy, it's always better for everybody when you win. I'm happy for Andy Dalton. I think one of the coolest things I heard him say, you know, now that he still can't get his sense of taste and smell back after having COVID-19, so he can eat all the food that's good for him for a change, and he won't know how much he doesn't like it.
Paul, Craig? All right. John, thank you, man.
Well, yeah, John, are you disappointed about Baylor's basketball?
Yeah, not a good deal.
I am. And I think college basketball made a big mistake. They should have waited till the conference, got more time to get ready. Now teams all over the country are canceling games. I don't know how they keep up with it. Wish the best to Scott Drew, fired up about the women, fired up about the men, and Sic'em.
John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, Houston Chronicle, with us on Tuesdays at 5:30. Here he is, SicEm365 Radio. Thank you, John. One thing about tonight's college football rankings, I won't watch it. If it's on in the background, I might glance at it. Where do you think they'll put Cincinnati and Brigham Young?
Close enough to where people will get pissed off.
Close enough to keep the interest, right?
Yeah, but also far enough away where people will be like, "Arr!" Like that's what it'll be. So that's your explanation for this. And this is one of those like unnecessary stressors that people have. Like all the people who thought that like Donald Trump wasn't going to leave the White House. Like that was going to happen. Like you're stressing yourself out for something. Yes, it's been drawn out, but it wasn't going to happen because there's a lot of other things that would have to happen for that to happen. And then people are going to watch this and be like, they don't like my team enough. We're like, well, there's weeks to go. Like, tranquilo, just chill.
Yeah, I think a lot of people live their lives nowadays where they more or less let their emotions ride on the things that aren't happening versus the things that actually are happening. Mm-hmm. It's this weird bubble that people have chosen to live in. I don't know if it's the technology part of it or what, but yeah, we often, as people, spend far more time on the things that haven't even happened and probably won't versus the things that are actually right there and going on. So just weird how that is. But I think they'll, Cincy will probably be like 6 or 7. I'd say somewhere around there. BYU will be right there. I mean, they'll be together probably right next to each other in the rankings. And, yeah, they won't be top 4. Certainly don't deserve to be versus those other 4 teams, in my opinion. But I think you'll see probably like an A&M or a Florida ahead of them still. That's the way the current rankings are, and I think they'll probably mirror those pretty closely.
Wonder if A&M or Florida might even be ahead of one of the undefeated teams other than those two, the Brigham Youngs and Cincinnati's. The Big 12. Will they have anybody in the top 10? No. Will they have anybody in the top? Do they do 15? How far do they go?
Yeah, they do 15.
Be interesting to find that out.
Well, Iowa State, I would think, because they only have the one loss, has a shot at it.
But if they did 15, Oklahoma's in there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Ohio State or Iowa State are right next to each other in the rankings. So I mean, you can go either or, but they're both top 15. So if you go top 15, then they should both, technically be in there. They both got 2 losses, though, so the 2 Big 12 schools are the highest-ranked teams with 2 losses, along with Georgia, who's also 5-2, and Georgia's just 1 spot ahead of them in the rankings. So, yeah, I mean, they'll get some consideration, but it's going to be a real long shot for anybody from the Big 12. And I think for it to happen, and it's unfortunate, but this is the truth, it would have to be Oklahoma. Running the table to get into the playoff for the Big 12 to have a chance, because I think Iowa State, even though one of those losses was early, unless they just go out and demolish OU and demolish everybody the rest of the way, and they got to beat Texas first. Like, they might not even do that this weekend, but even if they were to do that, it's still Iowa State. Like, it's not that different from Baylor or TCU or these other schools that we know really don't have a realistic chance at the playoff because they're not blue bloods. So, yeah, those are the 2 shots. Texas is in the top 25, but, I mean, that's not a playoff caliber team. So I think it's kind of just down to the Cyclones and the Sooners at this point.
Yeah, I wrote about Texas this week. They've been more lucky than they are good, and Iowa State's been more good than they are lucky. And we'll see what kind of
if you said put $100 on that game, I would put it on Texas. Even though the eye test shows me that Iowa State, what Texas was starting to do is their defense is starting to believe, even if they've been shredded, they've shown some improvement like Oklahoma's defense has. So we'll see. Jalen Ramsey, who last night stood up Mike Evans in a bang-bang tackle. Then Evans went to the other side of the field and carried 2 Rams defensive backs like 7 yards into the end zone. He purchased $20,000 in Vaughn's grocery gift cards and distributed it at a turkey giveaway in South L.A. and Inglewood today.
Good for him.
Love stories like that. Yeah. I absolutely love stories. And there's dozens and hundreds of them that you never hear much about.
Vaughn's a few times.
Yeah, Vaughn's was, it was in Ventura Beach. Yeah. There was a Vaughn's grocery where we used to stop quite a bit when covering the Cowboys at training camp. And that's where we used to go. There's a couple of them in that area. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's really
cool.
nice. And, not everybody displays their charity publicly. And I'm not sure Jalen Ramsey even had a choice in the matter or not. But there's a lot more good going on that gets that doesn't get the publicity that the bad gets, kind of going back to what we were just talking about a second ago. And Jalen Ramsey certainly gets a lot more bad PR, and a lot of that is his own actions. But, that's a great thing that he did.
I'll tell you, one of the things that always gets me is like when everybody likes a player and like, he's such a good dude. He's such a good dude. I'm like, most of the players really are good dudes.
Yeah.
Like most players, most athletes are good people. They're just quiet.
Antonio Brown spoils it for the rest of them, basically.
Utah, Arizona State, that had been pushed back to Sunday, has now been called off because of COVID-19 with ASU. ASU, of course, the basketball team's fine. Football team is struggling with things as they go along. So that's.
I bet if you did some cross-checking, there's an Arizona State guy with a super hot opinion on Baylor canceling that has a completely different opinion on Arizona State canceling the football.
No question. Absolutely. All right, the 25 modern-day era final. You tell me. Now, all of these guys are good.
Let's do this when we come back.
All right, we'll do this when we come back. Raise your hand when we get back of who you think. Not that they're Hall of Fame worthy, but you only can get 5 of these names, so be careful when I call a name out. This is Sic'Em365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing has their Week of Thanks. Every day is a new deal. Today, they've got growler fills, 20% off. Tomorrow, 20% off pints on site. Thursday, e-gift cards, online only because the tap room is closed. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, select 6-packs for $6. On Friday, it's the Bridge Street Vit. On Saturday, it's the Hidden Herd. And on Sunday, it's the Active Faith. So a lot of cool stuff going on. So if you want to go out and get some stuff here for the weekend, you can fill up a growler today. Of course, they're open until 9 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, you can go get a pint. Maybe some people are in town. You want to go sit outside in the outdoor, very spacious beer garden they have down there on 400 East Bridge Street. You can do that with maybe some people coming into town for Thanksgiving. And then if you want to get a gift for somebody, tomorrow's the way to do it on the e-gift cards on Thursday for the online-only e-gift cards at Brotherwell Brewing, 400 East Bridge Street, or online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Mulkey Group Insurance Agency. With the Mulkey Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Mulkey Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Mulkey Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Man, I tell you what, thanks to all of you who responded to the question on the premium section. In just a few words, what are your emotions about Baylor men's basketball cancellations? Hopefully you were able to hear from Mack Rhoades. Bill Bear, the last one, I can't read it on the air. I
mean, you could.
I could, but it would possibly be our last show. But thank you.
FCC doesn't have anything on us.
No, you're right. But Bill Bear, again, thank you. Or it could be Bell Bear as well. Here's one, a GIF. How do you say it? Is it GIF?
GIF.
When I think of GIF, I think of Jiffy Pop.
Or peanut butter. I always thought it was.
I always thought
it was GIF because the letter G is graphic, so
Yeah,
it's a hard
that's
G.
right.
But apparently, the creator of the first GIF says that they pronounce it GIF. So
Here's the GIF here. I plan on popping a pill, crying a bit, and falling asleep early. Don't do that.
No, that's from a very funny TV show called Schitt's Creek.
Oh.
And
it's the name of the show, Smokey.
SCHITTS.
I think they did that on purpose.
And again, don't worry about it.
You think they did that on purpose? I'm pretty sure they did that on purpose.
The mayor of the town in Schitt's Creek is named Roland Schitt.
Yes, SCHITT. So
you guys are enjoying the hell out of this. I'm actually the one uncomfortable. Actually,
I know, it's
I'm actually mad at myself for getting excited. I should know better by now. That's from Sic'em BU 87. Okay, tell me if you think these are locks, and you can say this to 15 of them, but there's 25. Eric Allen.
No.
Jared Allen.
No.
Willie Anderson.
I think Jared Allen might be more of a closer thing than Paul does, but I don't know that he's a for sure thing, but I think he's probably up there.
Willie Anderson.
No.
Rondé Barber.
No.
Cornelius Bennett. He's been out there for a long time.
He was good, but I don't think of him as a Hall of Famer. You know,
I mean, like
I think of him as
by
like
the
this,
offensive weapons.
I think of him
really
as like the
close.
6th or 7th best player, and arguably you could put him higher, but the Bills were really good because they had Thurman Thomas and
Jim Kelly,
Andre Reed,
and Bruce Smith was
and Cornelius Bennett was a part of that group, but I don't know.
Tony Baselli's been a part of this many times. We've had him on the show. Leroy Butler.
No, and I love him.
Alan Faneca. He's been a part of the finalist list. Rodney Harrison. You know why he's going to get in one day? Because he does TV now.
Yeah, are you asking one day or this year?
No, I'm talking about locks for this year. We have not said anybody yet, right? No. Rodney Harrison. Torrey Holt. Boy, he's been up on the cusp of it. Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
You just heard what John McClain said.
Yeah.
John Lynch.
No.
No.
You don't think the work as general manager?
I think he is. He should
but not
be,
this
but
list.
not this year. Yes.
All right, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Clay Matthews Jr. He's been around. He's been out there. Sam Mills.
No, and I want Sam Mills in the Hall of Fame really bad.
Richard Seymour.
No.
Steve Tasker.
Nope.
Fred Taylor, who to me is his generation's Frank Gore.
No.
Zach Thomas.
No, and should be. But
So we're only got one now. There's only 5 or 6 left. Heinz Ward.
No. Not this year, no.
Reggie Wayne.
Should
he and Peyton Manning go in the same time?
That'd be cool. But I don't know,
it would be. Of course, it was Marvin Harrison. Patrick Willis.
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
Charles Woodson.
Yes.
Okay. Darren Woodson.
No.
No, and it's far overdue, but he's
Bryant
not
Young.
gonna get in.
So really, there's only 3 locks that we. To me, there's 2 locks: Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson. Calvin Johnson probably should be, but again, there's the wide receiver issue. Torrey Holt's been out there now. It's been a few years. Remember who was Isaac Bruce?
Just
had to
got
wait,
Isaac
right?
Bruce just last year.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think Jared Allen could very well get in. I think Willis should be a lock. Calvin Johnson should be a lock. Peyton Manning's the most obvious lock of locks of all time. So, yeah, I'd say Jared Allen, Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, who was I thinking? Patrick Willis, Charles Woodson. Yeah, like those 5.
Okay, all right.
That's what I would go with at least. And I know Jared Allen could probably debate a bit more. I think those other 4, though, those are surefire Hall of Famers, and Allen will be eventually.
Yeah, I agree. All right, thanks to our guest today. Many of you who commented on that other thread as well. Abram Smith, Baylor linebacker. Brian Bell, China Spring. Quaylen Jones, Baylor running back. Ray Biles of Lorena. Grayson Grundhafer, Mack Rhoades. If you did not hear it, if you're a Baylor fan, or even if you're a college sports fan, some pretty good stuff in there today. Heard from Kim Mulkey, Baylor women's basketball coach. They open up tomorrow night. David Hellman and John McClain. All right. Had a couple of former Baylor players text me. Had a couple of other things that we're working on for tomorrow's show. We will be packed. Thank you, Jack. Can you breathe? Are you still breathing? Are you almost ready? What do you do now after this? You relax, take a deep breath.
I correct a couple of my mistakes, and then we go home and we have a drink.
Stiff drink.
Wait, are you able to?
Yes.
I'm 22.
Okay, all right, good.
22.
I was just wanting to make sure we're not out.
He's an aged.
We're not outlaws here.
After today, he's an aged 22.
Tyler, did you have fun at all, or are you bored out of your damn mind?
Sleep a couple times.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. There's a lot of other people who did as well. Tyler, great to see you. We can't wait to see you on Saturday. Jack, seriously, fantastic. I don't know about these mistakes. We'll go on the film and look at them. Film don't lie, right?
Yeah.
We'll go back and look at that. But I'm excited for what you've done. We miss Armstrong quite a bit, but Jack, you have been, and I'm telling you, there's a future there. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate everything you tell us, even the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sic'em365 Radio. Good night. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
group of over 30 physicians in Central Texas became frustrated seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves. They opened Muscle Wise Nutrition. We've seen too many patients suffer from complications of obesity. Patients who have tried countless do-it-yourself diets, which often results in 25% of the weight they lose coming from muscle breakdown and muscle loss. We needed another approach, so we opened Muscle Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed diet program to lose substantial weight, targeting fat while sparing muscle. Dieters are seen weekly by a coach who performs detailed body composition analysis. Please email us at Sic'em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com, and one of our coaches will contact you promptly to get you set up for our free educational seminars. Lose weight by losing fat and sparing muscle. Start Muscle Wise today. Contact us at Sic'em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.